A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gut of the prison of the grave. The lady tourist was a school teacher out after glamour, and she got it. But only after she learned that in Hollywood the 3 R's could be reading, done in a dark room, writing found in a dead man's pocket, and arithmetic that added up to murder times 2.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's transcribed story, The Rustin Hickory.
It was hot in my apartment, even at 10 o'clock at night. The sultry wind blowing through curtains at the far side of the room didn't help a bit. It was the kind of night that made me wish I was something else, a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, anything. After a long, hot day spent in the downtown courts of law, listening to the petty arguments of a petty larceny case, I was tired of petty people. The paper I had picked up on my way home wasn't helping any. 10 killed in an air crash. Mental cruelty, says local songbird. I made myself another highball, lots of ice, easy with water, and picked up the paper again. It was still more of the same. Cy Nestor killed in office on Sunset Strip. Cy Nestor. He'd hit the papers before. Bookie, B- picture producer, general racketeer. Somehow I wasn't too surprised he was on the receiving end for a change. My drink was good for 10 more pages of equally dull reading, and I was set for the next in line when the phone rang.
Mr. Philip Marlowe?
It was the first attractive voice I'd heard all day.
Mr. Marlowe?
And you know, I thought she might be fun.
My name is Joan Rustin, and I'm only here in Hollywood from Ferndale, Nebraska on a vacation, and I wanted to have some fun. You know, see the nightclubs and the stars
hey.
and that sort of thing.
Wait a minute,
I
Joan.
don't want trouble, Mr. Marlowe.
Hold
I'm
it.
least of all.
Teacher. Hey.
Yes?
Let's back up a little, huh? Your name is Joan Rustin. You're from Ferndale, Nebraska, which you're right, I've never heard of. Also, you're a school teacher. That much I got. But the rest about the sights, the last part, the trouble
Oh, but don't you see? They're the one and the same.
Oh?
I wanted to step out. Nightclubs, movie stars, glamour. But it didn't end up like that because he was shot, and then I didn't know what to do. And his name's Aubrey Nickel. He's the man who took me out to show me the club. Anyhow, after it happened, I ran.
Why?
Why? The publicity, of course. Mr. Marlowe, I'd lose my job. You see, I'm a school teacher.
Yeah, you said that, honey. Now, look, where are you, Joan?
The Tulip Room. It's a bar on Sunset and La Cienega Boulevard. You'll come right over, huh? Huh?
Yeah, I'll come right over, huh? Goodbye, Joan.
Hey, Mr. Marlowe.
Yeah, but where are you?
Over here in this booth. Hurry.
Okay, hurry it is. Hello. Now tell me why all the secrecy and you... Oh.
And what? Oh, what are you staring at?
You. Unexpected braids, Joan. Horn rims, calico maybe. Not ice blue satin, drape plunging, and,
Yes?
Yes. Start at the top, honey, and slow this time, huh?
Well, yesterday I met this man, this Aubrey Nickel I mentioned. Oh, he's really nice, Mr. Marlowe. He's a photographer. Has a darling place up on the Sunset,
Sunset Strip. You want that to have your picture taken?
Uh-huh. I wanted something glamorous.
That's easy.
And look here what I got. Oh, by the way, I ordered a drink for you. A Scotch drink. Here. You like Scotch drinks, don't you?
Yeah, Scotch drinks are my favorite drinks, Joan, thanks.
You're welcome. Now, isn't it wonderful? The picture, I mean.
I'll say it is. I'd never say school teacher.
No, that's the idea. Just like a model in a fashion magazine, isn't it? Aubrey took it from inside his photo shop while I was outside on the street looking in his window. You know, like a smart career girl just strolling along the avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And see how he faded out the background? That way I'm the focal center.
Focal center.
Isn't it nice?
Oh, yes, it is, yeah. But look, Joan, the rest of the story now. The man was shot. You don't want publicity, remember?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, We made a date, Mr. Marlowe, for tonight. I was to be at his place, his shop on the strip at 8, which I was. But when I got there...
He was gone.
Well, no. He might just as well have been for all the attention he paid to me.
Huh?
He had something on his mind. Acted as though he didn't even expect me. Why, I had to mention his picture here twice before he got it out of the drawer for me. But then, just like that, he changed. Said if I wanted glamour and nightclubs, why not?
Oh, by all means. Why not?
And off we went to Cyrano's, no less, and sat at a table with two men and a woman who was actually Irmgard Fury.
Actually who?
Irmgard Fury, the starlet.
Oh.
Don't you read the papers? Oh, golly, her picture's been in every theater section and magazine for the last 6 months. Of course, she hasn't made a movie yet, but she probably will.
Wait a minute. Irmgard Fury. She has red hair, a figure, lots of each, huh?
Oh, that's right. Oh, and so sweet to talk to. Well, believe it or not, when we were in the powder room and she couldn't find her lipstick, she used mine.
Now, that's really democratic. Look, Joan, there was a shooting. You remember that. Now, you were sitting at a table with 3 men, and this Irmgard Fury?
That's right.
Well, go on. What happened next?
Well, when Miss Fury and I got back to the table, Mr. Lacey and his friend were gone. And then a minute later, Aubrey excused himself to make a phone call.
And then?
And then a waiter brought me a note from Aubrey which said I should go back to my hotel and wait there till I heard from him. Then it happened.
Look, Joan, if I'm going to help you on this, you got to tell the whole coherent story.
Well, suddenly there were some shots, maybe from outside, and people were yelling. It was terrible. I was scared to death. And I ran outside. People were crowded around someone. It was Aubrey. He was dead.
What'd you do then?
I took the first taxi I could get to my hotel, the Beverly Crest. I started for my bungalow, but didn't go inside because there was a man hanging around. I'd seen him before someplace, and I didn't like his looks and turned away, and he called to me. Oh, he was awful, Mr. Marlowe.
Awful looking like a frog, maybe? Sloping shoulders, bulging eyes?
Yes, and when... Mr. Marlowe, how do you know what he looked like?
Promise not to tell.
Promise not to... Oh, Mr. Marlowe, he's here, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Been watching us for quite a while.
Oh, holy smokes, and I didn't get away from him. Oh, Mr. Marlowe, I had nothing to do with this shooting. What can I do? I simply can't be mixed up in this terrible business. Oh, please, Mr. Marlowe, I'll pay you anything, only get me out of this, please.
We'll talk about that later, Joni. Now, look, when we get up, keep talking and don't look away from me. Then when we're outside and around the taxi stand there, duck away from me fast and get in close to the building and stay there till the frogman is gone. Then head for your hotel bungalow and wait there till you hear from me. Now, you got that?
Oh, yes, but I don't understand why he's going to leave us.
You will, if our little coup works. Come on. It played easier than I'd expected because, like a good shadow, the frogman gave us a small head start, which was all I needed. The second Joan darted away from me, I moved quickly up to the first cab in line, opened and slammed the rear door fast, said goodbye out loud to Joan, who was not in the back seat, then flipped the driver 5, winked hard, and practically shouted a very faraway address at him. When he lurched from the curb, I stood there and waved a minute. It was what was still supposed to be Joan. Then, even as I saw the frogman dart across the street, pile into his own car and take off after the cab, I walked slowly back into the bar where I had another Scotch drink and did some fast checking on the current location of Aubrey Nichols, which was the Dawson Memorial Hospital. Then I started outside for my car after stopping en route at the booth where Joan and I had been sitting to pick up a pair of gloves and glamour portrait my new little client had left on the seat. The school mom had been upset indeed.
Dawson Memorial Hospital, Dr. Chambers? Yes, one moment, please. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Oh, I want to know the condition of a patient who was brought in here a little while ago, Mr. Aubrey Nichols.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We're not allowed to give out such information. You'd have to inquire at the superintendent's office. Sir, Joe,
I wouldn't bother, Phil.
Well, Detective Lieutenant Matthews, good evening.
Good evening. Nickel is dead, Marlowe. We did not get a statement from him.
That's too bad. Any idea who did it?
No. Have you?
I didn't even know him. A client of mine.
Yeah, Mr. Smith.
That's right. That's remarkable. Yeah, Mr. Smith. He asked me to inquire about his condition.
Uh-huh. Well, it happened about an hour ago in an alley behind Cyrano's. Aubrey Nichols was a photographer up on the strip, but pretty much of a phony. A big front boy, strictly.
That's all there was to it, huh?
Walk down here with me a little.
Oh, sure.
We figure there may be some connection between this shooting and Cy Nestor's death this afternoon. Nestor also had an office on the strip.
What do you figure the tie-in is, Marty?
A man named Ham Lacey. You ever hear of him?
Yeah, he was one of Nestor's #1 boys in the racket, right?
Yeah, something like that. Of course, officially, Ham Lacey is known as the vice president of Nestor Enterprises Incorporated. Also production manager of that second-rate movie studio Nestor owned. Well, anyway, Lacey, another man, and Aubrey Nickel were at Cyrano's tonight with a starlet named Irmgard Fury. And another gal we haven't been able to tag yet. Now, tell me...
Wait a minute,
Phil,
Lieutenant. When Nestor was killed, did it look like the usual mob tactics?
No. Nestor was beat up by fists. Not sapped, not cut up with brass knuckles.
Oh.
His death was caused by a blow to the temple from a poker that was standing next to a phony fireplace in which he could have hit his head when he fell.
Well, probably not Lacey and Associates, huh?
Probably not. He's got an alibi.
Yeah?
Besides, we already got a fair line on who did it and why. We found a note in Nestor's pocket signed D. Tobin, which threatened Nestor with a beating if he didn't stay away from the undersigned's wife and send her back home at once. Nestor, you may or may not happen to know, had this Irmgard Fury or something under contract to him, saw lots of her. So, again, the two deaths more or less tie together.
Yeah, you've already talked to, by the way, her name is Irmgard Fury.
No, I ain't talked to her. No. I figured I'd wait till I knew a little more. Also, I didn't figure Nickel would die without saying anything.
No.
Well, now it's your turn. We found this negative in the alley near Nickel's body. This is a night shot of the Sunset Strip and nothing more. Means anything to you?
No, why should it? Now, look, I told you before, Lieutenant, I never even met Nickel.
Yeah, and I listened, didn't I?
I noticed.
Yeah, but now let's level a bit, huh, Phil? Who your client is and what he or she has to do with this is one thing as long as we're both on the same side. But playing dumb when it might count is quite another. Now, once more, Phil, huh? The picture?
Still 0, Lieutenant. Honor bright. Anything else?
Yeah, just to save you a little time, Phil.
Yeah, let's do.
Irmgard Fury's address, 441 West Bedford Drive, Beverly Hills. Got a
441 West Bedford Drive.
Now, play it close. Be sure to call when you think it's time. And if you're wondering about why all this help from me, try this. What you know and won't tell, plus what I know and will tell, might do the trick. Say goodbye to me, Phil.
Goodbye.
Yes?
Miss Fury, my name's Philip Marlowe. I must talk to you at once.
About what?
Your husband. I'm a friend of his, and he asked me to get in touch with you. It's because of what happened this afternoon up on the Strip.
Oh. Well, what's wrong? Is Dave here in town?
Yeah, he is, and he's in trouble. You see, the police are after him.
All right, hold it, mister. You've said enough.
Huh?
What are you, cop or reporter?
Oh, now, wait a minute, Miss Fury. I've already told you I'm a friend of Dave's.
Whose name happens to be Douglas. Mr. Douglas Tobin. Keep that in mind when you try this next time. Good night.
Not so fast, baby. The mistake was mine, but I still want to talk to you.
So do a lot of men.
I'll bet.
Now beat it before...
Irmgard?
Before I forget myself.
What's the trouble, Irmgard?
Oh, no trouble, Hamilton, darling. This gentleman was just leaving. He had the wrong address. He made a mistake. Didn't you, Mr. Marlowe?
Yes, a blunder. 1,000 apologies, and good night, Mrs. Tobin. For what it was worth, it worked. At the mention of the name Tobin, Ham Lacey spun around like it was built on a pivot, and his eyes that were narrow slits with all the come-hither look of a cobra has never left me. As I slowly walked away from him and past the yellow convertible he'd just driven up in. License number 6969X, California. And on out to the street. All of which only meant that Lieutenant Matthews was probably right about there being some connection between Cy Nestor's murder and the death of Aubrey Nickel. When I opened the door of my car and started to climb in under the wheel, the voice in the night helped not at all.
If you don't do as I say, I'll kill you.
Okay.
Knock it out.
Take it easy.
All right. Now close the door and turn around. You're back to me.
Now, look, if this is a stick-up, Busty, you can save us both a lot of time.
Shut up. I'm not a hold-up man. Now, move over there, close to those trees. Go on. I want to ask you a question. All right, that's far enough. Now, what have you got to do with Helen?
Helen who?
Helen Irmgard Fury. That's what she's known as now. What have you got to do with her? Tell me.
Very little, Mr. Tobin.
You know who I am?
And so do the police. So why don't you call it quits while you're still in one piece?
No, not quits. That's what you want, what all of you want. Me arrested and out of the way in jail and maybe out of the way for good. No. But that won't be. Helen's mine and you're not going to harm her.
Careful, Tobin. You're getting excited.
Yes, excited enough for this. Go!
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, a thrill-a-minute, high-tension suspense from the word go. Dramatic excitement that builds and builds until it explodes in a smashing climax.
That's Inner Sanctum, the great mystery show that's another of CBS's top-notch Monday night programs. You'll find Inner Sanctum one of the most entertaining spots in your Monday night listening schedule. And remember, Lux Radio Theater is back for its 15th year of great dramatic presentations. Inner Sanctum and Lux Radio Theater every Monday night over most of these same CBS stations. Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Rustin Hickory.
When the whirling pinwheels of light slowed down to being street lamps again, Douglas Tobin had pounded shoe leather on enough sidewalk to be safely out of sight. But it took a full minute of rubbing the bruise where his pistol had glanced off my head before I finally remembered that it was a good time to call Joan. I looked back at Irmgard Fury's house first and saw the lights still on, the cream-colored convertible still parked in front, and all apparently quiet inside. So I limped as far as the phone booth on the corner. I warned my client that the trick we pulled on the frog wouldn't hold up forever. But instead I found out just how far this side of forever it had collapsed.
Yeah, hello.
Hello? Hey, what number is this? What are you doing there? Where's Joan Rustin?
Oh, the babe's here, but she ain't in much of a mood to talk. Incidentally, thanks for giving me this free time, Dippy.
What are you talking about?
That fast shuffle you taught me, Dippy. That now you see her, now you don't gag with the taxi. For an old shell game operator like me, that one was as tough to see through as a glass-bottom boat.
All right. You get your diploma in the morning. But listen, you, if anything happens to Miss Rustin, I'll break it.
Skip it, Dippy. You're wasting your breath. It's already happened. I'll see you around. So long. Joan, come on, baby. Come on, snap out of it.
Oh, I told you, stay away from me.
Hey.
Get out of here.
Hey, hold it. It's me, Joni, Marlowe.
Marlowe?
Yeah.
Oh, Marlowe.
Come on, honey. What happened? Are you hurt, Joan?
That man, the one with the gruff voice.
Yeah?
He forced his way in here, Marlowe. He was looking for something. I tried to stop him. I was going to scream, but I guess that's when he put the bite on me.
That slug, baby.
Well, anyway, he hit me hard. And I've never been treated that way before in my whole life.
You've never been buddies with murder before, either. Come on, honey. Get up off the floor, huh? Easy now. There. Hey, he turned your place inside out, too, didn't he? What was he after, Joni?
Oh, I don't know. He just told me to quit stalling and hand it over. I didn't know what he meant, so he shoved me. Then he pulled out all the books there and tore up the rugs.
He was looking for something small and flat like a... Wait a minute. Sure. The cops found a negative near Aubrey Nickel tonight, but it was worthless. There must have been another one, an important one. And Lacey and Froggy, who no doubt is Helm Babe, must think you've got it.
Me? Well, that's impossible. All I had was my picture, and, well, I don't even have that now.
No, but I do, out in my car, and it gives me a great idea. Come on.
Well, where, Marlowe? I don't get it. What's my photograph got to do with his?
Maybe plenty. You see, when Aubrey printed that picture of you, he faded out the background almost completely. You remember?
Uh-huh.
That's a stunt in fashion photography to make a subject stand out. But in this case, Joan, I figure it was played strictly in reverse.
Well, how do you mean?
That Aubrey took you to Cyrano's tonight on business, big business. And you were holding the merchandise for him all the way.
Oh.
Here. Let's take a look.
Oh, Marlowe, my pretty picture frame.
Better this than your pretty head later, sweetheart, believe me. Yeah, here it is. Look, see? A negative the size of a postage stamp. But I'll bet old flash bulbs the $10 bills this baby's really loaded.
Marlowe, I'll bet that baby's loaded, too.
What are you talking about?
The gun in that man's hand there behind you.
Oh, fine.
Wait. Easy, Marlowe. I'm not looking for any more trouble. I just want to be sure that you'll help me first. You're a private detective. I searched you before, so I know. I'm in a jam. It's worse than I figured. The cops are after me for murder.
No kidding. I can't understand it, Tobin. All you got is a motive deep enough to swim in, and you've been dropping clues like Hansel and Gretel dropped pebbles.
All right, but I didn't do it. Well, I beat up Cy Nestor, sure, but he was going with Helen, my Helen. I hated everything and everybody in this phony town because they took her away from me. Even changed her name for her, Irmgard Fury. But I didn't kill Nestor. I swear I didn't. You've got to help me, Marlowe.
With that .38 in your fist, are you asking or telling?
Oh, I'm asking, brother. Here, take it. Take the gun. I'm in a fix, and I know it.
Okay, hothead. I'm already in Dutch for hiding Matthew's key witness here. Think how I'll look keeping his chief suspect under wraps, too. Yet, maybe I'm a sucker, but I believe you. All right, where do you hang your hat?
The Country Cottages, number 7. It's a kind of a motel court down on Melrose.
Number 7. Now go there and stay out of sight. And I mean stay out of sight.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Marlowe. Say, I'm sorry I batted you down tonight.
That makes a lot of difference to the lump on my head. Go on, Tobin, beat it.
Okay.
I'll keep in touch with you.
And where are we going, Marlowe?
Call a friend of mine. We need a big enlargement of a small negative.
Chronicle Photo Lab, Sherman speaking.
Hiya, Sherman. This is Phil Marlowe.
No kidding. Gee, how's business, Phil? Long time no see.
Yeah, I know. Now, look, are you busy? I got a job that's right down your alley, Sherman. It's important.
What is it, Marlowe?
Well, it's a 35-millimeter negative. I want it blown up to about half as big as a house.
Okay, bring it in.
I can't. I've got to check a couple of other things at the same time. Now, look, Sherman, can you meet me at the Aubrey Nickel studio on the Strip in about 10 minutes, back door?
Wait a minute, back door?
Yeah.
How come the back door, Phil?
So we can kick it in without attracting too much attention. Sherman, I'll see you in 10 minutes. I piled Joan into the car, drove down the Strip, and once past Nickel studio, which was enough. Joan had posed for a picture in front of the place, and directly across the street, behind her, just as I knew it had to be, was the neat plastic sign reading Sign Nestor Enterprises on the diminutive but glossy imitation Swiss chalet where Nestor's body had been found. We turned, doubled back through the alley, and found Sherman bobbing up and down like a nervous gopher. 5 minutes of not-so-subtle persuasion got us past the lock and inside Aubrey's studio where something else checked. The walls were practically papered with pictures of Irmgard Fury, taken from every conceivable angle, including some that were not. Things were beginning to make a lot of sense.
Marlowe, is this all right? Coming in here, I mean, it's sort of uninvited and all.
Breaking and entering, lady. You can get 5 years for it. I sure hope you know what you're doing.
Yeah, this must be the dark room. Yeah. Now, here's the negative, Shermy. Do your stuff.
Well, what do you really expect to find on the film, Marlowe?
A murderer, baby. It's got to go one of two ways. Douglas Tobin for jealousy or Ham Lacey for ambition. Aubrey Nickel caught one of the two in the background when he took your picture. And he was familiar enough with all parties concerned over there to think he could put the screws on somebody. How's it coming, Shermy?
He could be out in a minute. 15 by 20, okay?
Yeah, it's good. If there isn't a man in the background, I'll eat it.
Better get the salt and pepper, pal, because it's nothing but a car.
It can't be. Oh, brother, that's more than a car, Shermy. It's a yellow convertible that belongs to Ham Lacey. Look, you can even see the license, 6969X.
696. Oh, now how do you suppose...
What's the matter, Marlowe?
I just thought of something. Without this picture, both Tobin and Lacey are suspects. But with it, we have proof Lacey is implicated. That means Lacey thinks he has Tobin sitting in the perfect frame, right where he wants him.
Oh, Marlowe, listen.
Now, look, you two get out of here. Go back to the paper. I've got to get to Tobin fast and let him know.
Oh, Phil, listen,
look, baby, you're no doubt terrific in the 3rd grade. But some things they don't even teach in college are going to pop any minute, so I'll take it from here, huh? Stick with Shermy, honey. I'll call you.
Oh, but Marlowe, wait, listen.
I made it from the Strip down to Melrose and then east to the cluster of dusty lean-tos with baths known as country cottages in something under 10 minutes. Parked down the street and cut back through the alley on foot. I got to the door of cottage number 7 with about 30 seconds to spare.
No. Wait a minute, mister. You got me wrong.
Oh, no, I haven't, pal. You can tell me you didn't knock off Sign Nestor, and I'll believe you. But nobody else will. I've got you right where I want you.
Now, wait a minute.
Because of your note found in Nestor's pocket. You're the jilted boyfriend, the hick from back home, who came to Hollywood with murder in your heart and knocked off the guy who stole your wife.
Now, look.
Yeah, and then you went after the cheap photographer who gave her stuff.
Oh, yeah?
And after that, you knew you couldn't escape, so you blew your brains out. And by the time I leave here, that's the way it's going to look.
Not tonight, Ham. Yeah, stand still, Lacey. Toss the gun over on the bed. Go on. That's better. So you figured Aubrey was lying about having a picture that pegged you as Sign Nestor's killer, didn't you? You figured Aubrey saw something but had no proof, so you shot him. But you were wrong, Ham. He had all the proof we need.
Oh, Marlowe, look out!
What's Joan? Who's out there?
Oh, Phil.
Joan.
Phil.
Joan, are you all right?
Jerry, I hit her. She's the one who killed Sign Nestor. I tried to tell you that. I followed you here to tell you, but instead I saw her with a gun pointed at you. I grabbed the first thing I saw, this broken race handle, and I hit her with it. I hit her awfully hard, Phil. But she's moving. You don't think she's...
Dead? No. She's probably thinking over the big lesson you just taught her with that stick there.
What? Oh, it's
Hey, Teach, you know what that rake handle's made of?
Why, it's hickory, isn't it?
Yeah. What else could it possibly be but a hickory stick?
All right, Marlowe, all right. Nobody can hear us. Now, what is it?
Well, it's that Miss Rustin here's a school teacher, Matthews, and it's imperative that we keep her name out of this.
Oh, well, we can arrange that.
Oh, good. You know, Matthews, it's funny how one step leads to another.
Yeah?
Ham Lacey never would have gone so far as to kill Nestor on his own. But when he learned that Irmgard had done it, he saw an opportunity to turn the whole situation to his advantage. He and the girl agreed to frame Tobin and then go along as a team.
You know, of course, that that's just your theory.
Just a minute.
Now,
What do
sit
you
down
mean?
over there and be quiet for a change while Miss Rustin and I wind this up.
Matthews, listen.
Now, quiet, please.
Pulling rank, huh?
Bill. Now, Miss Rustin, in solving this case...
Just a minute. She didn't solve the case.
Miss Rustin, if you hadn't solved it, and right when you did, you'd be talking to this guy exclusively via Ouija board from now on, let's face it.
Oh, what a corny pitch.
Now, tell me, Miss Rustin, how did you peg Irmgard Fury?
Well, when we got the picture of the yellow convertible, I remembered that I'd gone to the powder room at Cyrano's with Miss Fury to freshen our makeup. But she couldn't find her lipstick. She emptied her purse looking for it. She finally had to borrow mine, you know.
Oh, how democratic.
I said that.
So now you own it? Now tell me, Miss Rustin, how do you figure the lipstick figures?
Oh, it wasn't a lipstick. I happened to notice among the things from her purse a keychain, a chain with car keys on it, and an identification tag in the form of a little license plate.
Oh, and the numbers were...
6969X.
That's right.
And since Ham Lacey had an alibi and those keys were in Miss Fury's bag, you figured it was her who'd been driving.
It was she who'd been driving, yes.
Isn't this revolting?
Yeah, she. She wanted to kill Nestor because he wouldn't turn loose of her so she could claw her way on up to the bitter top. And when she found him unconscious, it was easy.
How literary.
Well, that's that, I guess. Thank you very much, Miss Rustin. I hope your stay in our town has... Oh, what's the matter?
Tony, baby, don't cry.
Oh, I just thought of the most dreadful thing. I've had a wonderful time. I went to Cyrano's. I hit a movie star on the head, and I helped solve a murder. But I'll never, ever be able to say one single word about it to anybody in Ferndale, Nebraska. Darn it all.
It took a few minutes to put on a new touch of mascara and get the pink off her nose. But she was smiling again when we said goodnight to Matthews and stood on the steps at headquarters and looked at the glittering lights of Hollywood. There was still plenty of time for supper and even a dance or two, and she wanted to go. But suddenly, from somewhere, there was a smell of autumn in the air, of dry leaves on the ground and ripe red apples for the teacher. She shook her head wistfully and spoke of an appointment she had bright and early next Monday morning.
It's a very important appointment, Phil.
So, I took her to a hotel and said goodbye. All the way home, for some reason, I kept wondering, whatever happened to Skinny McDonald? The only kid in school who could shoot a better spitball than Marlowe. Has it really been that long ago?
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe star Gerald Moore and are transcribed and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Meldonelli, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Arant. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
There was a tapestry found under a tomb. They were all after it. The worried importer, the man with half a face, the Englishman in an L.A. slum, and the lady wearing a green veil. But before it was over, none of them had it, and 2 of the 4 were dead.
Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
faithful friend when muscles ache and pain, presents Gangbusters.
Calling the police, calling the G-men, calling all Americans to war on the underworld.
Gangbusters brought to you by the makers of Sloan's Liniment. With the cooperation of leading law enforcement officials of the United States, Gangbusters presents facts in the relentless war of the police on the underworld. Authentic case histories that show the never-ending activity of the police in their work of protecting our citizens. America's crusade against crime. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel H. Norman Schwarzkopf, our regular interviewer, is now serving with the United States Army. However, the colonel is continuing his supervisory duties on Gangbusters by proxy. In a moment, we'll be ready for our proxy interview between Colonel Schwarzkopf and Chief of Police J.P. Coffey of Valdez, North Carolina, who will relate the facts in the case of the 8th bandit, the college athlete who turned killer. But first, friends, there are 3 important qualities which have made Sloan's Liniment the world's best-known liniment for muscular aches and pains. Sloan's brings quick relief. Sloan's is the pad-on liniment. No rubbing or massaging is needed. And Sloan's eases pain, whether it's caused by overexertion, accident, or cold weather. Next time your muscles seem to be tied in knots, next time your back or your shoulder is stiff and sore, try patting on Sloan's liniment. It takes but a second, and almost instantly, you can feel that comforting warmth ease away the pain. If you haven't a bottle on the medicine shelf right now, it's time you made a mental note to ask your druggist for a handy bottle of Sloan's, the quick-acting liniment. Now for our proxy interview between Colonel Schwarzkopf and Chief of Police J.P. Coffey of Valdez, North Carolina. Picture our setting as a special office turned over to the Colonel by Commissioner Louis J. Valentine of the New York City Police. Colonel Schwarzkopf.
Chief Coffey, this case of Dwight Beard certainly has many unusual angles. As I recall, Beard had a powerful physique and was a star college athlete. His cunning brain used this to make incredible escapes.
That's right, Colonel. After looting a house, Beard would leap from an upper-story window to a nearby tree, swing himself to the ground, and then disappear. But Beard was soon apprehended. And the court, believing him sincerely repentant, placed him on probation, never realizing that Beard was already scheming new criminal activity.
And you I'd never go to jail. And you, if I put on a good crying act, the court would think I was repentant. They caught me once, but they'll never get me again. I have a new plan. All I need is money, and I'm getting that money tonight.
It was on the night of February 18th, 1932, in the little town of Valdez, North Carolina, that Beard went after this money. There, Beard and another man waited for the return of the local storekeeper.
Are you sure this storekeeper will have the money on him tonight, Beard?
I know he will. I also know he'll come up this path to his house.
Where can we hide?
This tree.
Why, you're crazy, Beard. We can't both hide back of this tree.
We won't be back of it. We'll be up it.
What?
Come on, climb.
Okay, Beard, if you say so. All right, come on. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, do you think this branch will hold both of us?
Sure. There. Now, when our friend passes under the tree, we'll drop down and grab him.
Yeah, that's a good idea, but what if...
Someone's coming.
The storekeeper.
Get ready.
I'm set.
Drop.
Oh, who are you?
No noise. Hand over that money.
No, I won't.
Why, it's you. It's in that satchel, pal. Grab it. I got it.
No, help. Hey, give me my money.
I said
give me
quiet.
Beard, you killed him.
In this brutal manner did Dwight Beard commit his first murder, Colonel. Immediately, printing presses roared as thousands of police circulars were sent to all nearby police departments.
To all police chiefs, urgent, wanted for murder, Dwight Beard, 23, 175 pounds, 5 feet 11 inches, fair complexion, athletic build, reward for his arrest and conviction. Notify J.P. Coffey, Chief of Police, Valdez, North Carolina.
Thus, Dwight Beard started his life of crime, Colonel, a hunted man. He was recognized but not captured in Georgia, in Louisiana, and in Florida. But for months, nothing more was heard of Beard. He had taken on a new name. Then, in April of 1933, a significant meeting took place between two men in St. Paul, Minnesota, in an apartment house.
That's my proposition, Wilson. The police will never suspect us. I worked this plan out step by step, ever since I was in college.
I admit you have something unusual, but I don't trust you. Let's put our cards on the table. You say your name is Donald Haynes?
Well?
Let's not kid each other. I know that's not your real name.
Listen, Wilson. As far as you're concerned, my name is Donald Haynes.
Okay, Haynes. Whatever you say.
I need a partner who has the proper underworld connections. You have. You coming in with me? Yes or no?
Well, Haynes, let's put it...
I said I'll have access to every wealthy home in the city. These rich people will be my friends. It's a setup in a million.
What makes you think that you, a stranger in town, can just walk out and get to know all the ritzy people living around here? Why, it'd be like sending me to New York to crash the 400.
That's right, Wilson. You couldn't do it. But I can.
You sure hate yourself. But I still want to know, how are you going to do it?
With these. These gout sticks are going to open the doors of the wealthy to me.
What?
Yes, Wilson. These gout sticks.
Are you nuts?
They take a week, it may take a month. But I have each step carefully planned. I start tomorrow on the golf links. And you'll see how I make out. I can't miss. All right. Tee up my ball, Caddy, and let's see what I do in this last hole.
Yes, Mr. Haynes.
By the way, just what is my score?
Well, Mr. Haynes, I never see such golf shooting all my born days. There's 3 strokes under the course record already.
Not so bad, eh?
Well, Mr. Haynes, yours is a wizard. You're only a new member of this club, but all the other members been asking me who you is and how you shoot golf so good.
That's so? Let me have the driver.
Yes, sir. It's par 4 on this hole, sir. It's a dog's leg. The green's about 300 yards away.
All right. Here we go. Right over that pond.
Lordy me. Look at that ball go like an old eagle eye right over the pond. Mr. Haynes, you've done it on the green and one. You see that? On the green and one.
Not so bad, if I do say so myself.
Oh, wait till folks back at the clubhouse hear about this golf shoot, Mr. Haynes. They'll never get over talking about it. No, sir, never.
In this way did Dwight Beard, alias Donald Haynes, worm his way into St. Paul, Minnesota society, Colonel. Within a week, he was playing golf with some of the city's wealthiest men. Within a month, he was a welcome guest in some of the city's finest homes. Then Beard and his partner Wilson had a talk in Beard's apartment.
Stage is set, Wilson. All the groundwork is laid. We're ready for action.
Well, Haynes, I've got to hand it to you. You worked this thing out just as you planned. I've read about your social life in the newspapers.
We need money now, and we're going to get it, Wilson. I bought you a chauffeur's uniform and a butler's outfit today.
What for?
It's essential that you drive the car for me.
Oh, I get it.
When I invite these people here, you'll serve tea or drinks, whatever's necessary.
Okay. I'll play the perfect butler or chauffeur or anything you say, Mr. Haynes, so long as we get the dough. What's our first job?
You see this invitation?
Donald Haynes, Esquire. Mr. and Mrs. G.B.F. Smythe request the pleasure of your company at a dinner dance to be held in honor of Count and Countess...
Some visiting celebrities. Can you imagine the wealthy people and all that jewelry stuff each woman will be wearing in order to impress the Count and Countess?
There'll be a fortune there. Yeah, but Haynes, are you sure you can pull a job like this alone?
Listen, Wilson. I know every inch of the Smythe's home. I know just what door to enter, so no one will see me. The whole job will take less than 5 minutes.
Sounds okay to me.
This Saturday evening, you'll drive me to the Smythe's. The guests are in for an unexpected surprise. Sure you have all my evening clothes in the back of the car, Wilson?
Sure, Haynes. Collar, shirt, tie, studs, everything.
Say 30. Guess they've all probably arrived at the Smiths by now.
One thing, Haynes. You're supposed to be a guest there yourself. How are you going to rob them without their recognizing you?
That's up to me. Turn up this Bible, Wilson. The sergeant turned it.
Right.
All right, stop back of this clump of bushes.
Okay. Quite a party in there.
Yeah, French door's opening into the house on this side. I'll get in that way. You turn the car around and be ready to make a quick getaway when I come out.
Right.
Now, let's see. I think I have everything. A basket, gloves, revolver. I'll just slip on this mask.
Haynes, I don't know if you can do it. There must be at least 30 people in that house.
Don't worry, Wilson. You just be set for a quick getaway.
Okay. Watch your step.
All right, everyone. Don't make a move. Stay right where you are.
He's wearing a mask.
Quiet. I don't want to have to kill anyone. And no heroics from you men. Now, ladies, start removing your jewelry. Drop it in this basket. You in? Empty your pockets.
Well, I don't know.
Come on. I mean business.
This is an outrage.
Quiet.
This is my wedding ring. Do I
You
have
can keep the ring, but not that bracelet.
Thank you. Here's my bracelet.
This is the most terrible thing I've ever
Put
heard.
it in there. Thanks for the jewelry. I'll be going now, but I'm warning you. I'll kill the first person that starts after me. Good night. Take this basket, Wilson.
Okay, Haynes. Hop in.
Step on it, Wilson. Fast. Pull up by the side of the road, Wilson, while I change to these evening clothes.
Yeah.
Now I got to get dressed fast.
And then what? After you're all dolled up?
You drive me back to the Smarts, of course. They're expecting me.
You're going back there?
Listen, stupid. 3 minutes ago, these people were held up by a masked gunman in a gray suit, light hat, and tan shoes. 5 minutes later, I arrive in evening clothes as an invited guest.
Yeah?
You think anyone would ever figure that I'm the one who just held them up? Well, when I get back there, if they haven't already called the police, I'll do it for them.
Police records show, Colonel, that Beard pulled more than 50 robberies in this manner.
Yet, Chief Coffey, for all his cunning, it's evident that luck played with him. If anyone had seen Beard in his quick change act, he would have been captured the very first time he tried the plan.
That's true, Colonel. And as you point out, his luck did change.
Chief Coffey, before you tell us how this murderer and thief was discovered, Charles Stark has a few words for us.
During this raw, wet, blustery time of year, you're going to hear many folks complain they're chilled to the bone. Too often a chill like that brings muscular aches and pains. But just so long as you have a bottle of dependable Sloan's liniment handy, you needn't worry. For over 2 generations, this famous Pat-On liniment has been giving quick relief when muscles ache. Millions of people the world over use and like Sloan's liniment. They find it so easy to apply, so promptly acting and comforting. If you have a mean crick in your back or a sore leg or arm, try Sloan's liniment yourself. Just pat it on lightly, lean back and relax. Like a heat treatment, a delightful warmth penetrates to those sore and stiffened muscles, soothing away the pain in no time at all. The next few months are the Sloan months. Always have a bottle of this family friend in need ready to serve you when pain strikes. Sloan's liniment costs very little, but it's sure worth plenty when you need it in a hurry.
Now, Chief Coffey, you say Dwight Beard's luck changed?
The breaks were all going Beard's way at first, Colonel Schwarzkopf. Then, as is usual between the two crooks, trouble broke out one night at Beard's apartment.
Hey, Wilson, come in here.
What's on your mind, Haynes?
I've been doing some figuring. The last 6 months, you've made pretty good money.
Well, haven't you?
Now we're going to make a new agreement. So I'm cutting down on your share. Hand it over or I'll drill you.
Here.
Thanks. This added to my pile makes quite a tidy sum.
You'll let me go now?
To tip off the police when you get outside?
I won't. I swear I won't.
Save your breath, Wilson. I don't need you any longer, and I'm getting rid of you.
All right. But don't shoot me.
I'm not going to shoot you, Wilson. That's too much noise. Back in college, I was a star wrestler. I can snap your neck with my bare hands.
No,
I don't
Haynes.
need this gun. I'll throw it on the table.
You threw your gun down, but I got one of my own.
Wilson.
Get over against that wall, Haynes. Oh, whatever your name is. Get over there.
Are you crazy?
I never did trust you, you crook. Now it's my turn to pick up the dough.
Put that money down. It's mine.
Shut up. Shut your pretty mouth for a change. I'm sick of hearing you blow about how smart you are. How you're the mastermind of crime.
Listen, where you going?
Thanks for your share of the dough, Mr. Haynes. It makes quite a tidy sum. So long, pal.
With Wilson gone, Beard had to work alone, Colonel. 2 nights later, in the living room of a wealthy Minneapolis family home.
Marion, dear,
Yes, George?
what are you reading?
Oh, just one of the latest novels. Why don't you get a book and read, too, George? You seem so restless tonight.
I was down at police headquarters today.
Yes? Oh, have they traced any of the stolen jewelry?
No, it takes time. But, Marion, the police have a theory that this epidemic of robberies is the work of one of our friends.
One of our friends?
Yes, the police say that anyone who knew as much about the inside of our homes is a... Marion,
Yes, George?
didn't you say the servants were all out tonight?
Well, yes, they are. Since we were staying home, I
Wait.
thought that... What's the matter?
Listen.
But I'm sure there's no one in the house but us.
Hear that?
Someone's upstairs.
I'm going up. You call the police.
I'm afraid. Let me come with you.
All right, dear. Careful now. We don't want these stairs to squeak.
George.
Yes?
I'm sure I left the light on at the top of the stairs. Someone's turned it out. What's that?
Someone's in this room.
Oh.
I'll open the door.
George! Oh, George! Are you all right?
There he is.
He's going to jump out that window.
Come on.
Oh,
He fell into the yard.
is he dead?
No, he's moving. Marion, you call the police. I'm going down there and grab him before he can get away.
Was that another of Beard's jobs, Chief Coffey?
Yes, Colonel. And although badly hurt after jumping from the Smythes' window, he succeeded in getting away. The police began checking all doctors and hospitals. 3 hours later, in a hospital room in Minneapolis...
Nurse. So, you're awake at last.
Who are you?
You know very well who I am. You're under arrest.
You want me for robbery?
No, we've got your partner Wilson to answer the robbery charges. We want you for something else.
What? Why am I under arrest?
It's an easy thing to change your name from Beard to Haynes or any other name you choose. But there's one thing you can't change, Dwight Beard. Your fingerprints.
Fingerprints?
We took them while you were asleep. We know your whole record, particularly the crime you committed at Valdez, North Carolina.
No. I didn't have
You're
any...
all washed up, Beard. You're going back to North Carolina to be tried for murder.
Chief Coffey, I know that Beard was immediately returned to North Carolina. Was he convicted of murder?
Yes, Colonel, after a long court battle. Then an unexpected thing happened. Beard's sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. A year passed, then one night in the prison yard at North Carolina State Prison.
Hey, Beard.
Oh, hello, Connie.
I thought your leg was broke, but I just saw you walking as good as anyone.
That was a stall. I always pretended my leg was hurt after I left the hospital. The guards figured they don't have to watch me as closely as the others.
Yeah?
After tonight, they won't have to watch me. I'm getting over that wall tonight.
Well, you got a ladder?
No. I'm jumping over.
Don't kid me, Beard. That's a 12-foot wall. Even a kangaroo couldn't hop that.
Come over here, Connie.
Okay.
See this long pole I have hidden against this wall?
Yeah?
Ever see a pole vaulter?
You mean one of those guys that
I
jumps...
used to pole vault when I was in college. And tonight I'm vaulting over that wall.
Over a 12-foot wall?
Yeah. May even break the world's record. But it's going to be strictly unofficial.
Attention, prison break. Dwight Beard, murderer, escaped from North Carolina State Prison at Raleigh. Beard is 5 feet 11, 175 pounds, light complexion, athletic build, extremely dangerous. May be riding freight trains train heading south. Watch all trains heading south.
All clear down there, Sheriff?
Yeah, Beard's not hiding on this freight. You can signal the engineer to go ahead.
Okay. All clear. All clear.
Pull over there. See any white man along the roads as you came through?
No, sir, boss. I ain't seen no one but myself all the time.
All right, get going.
Meanwhile, two police officers talked in Dallas, Texas.
Officer Roberts, I'm certain that Dwight Beard is somewhere in the Southwest.
If he's here, we'll get him, Sheriff. Police departments in every town in the country have circulars on Beard with full descriptions. He can't hide out forever.
No, sooner or later, we'll get him.
Yes. I wonder what it feels like to be a hunted man every minute of the day and night.
This river's like ice. But I gotta get across. They're after me. After me with bloodhounds. Won't let me rest night and day. Everywhere. Cops. Driving me crazy. They won't let me sleep. I can't sleep.
It was on the night of December 23rd, 1936, that Dwight Beard arrived in Dallas, Texas, Colonel. But he was no longer the self-confident college man who had a plan for the perfect crime. Down at the heels, shifty-eyed, he slunk along a Dallas side street and walked up to a store.
Yes? You wish something?
Listen, guy, hand over your money or I'll kill you. I swear I will.
No. Don't. Here, take the money.
That's better. If you try to follow me, I'll kill you.
Help! Hold up! Help!
You dirty rat!
Officer Roberts, I've just been held up. Man in a gray sweater. He ran down that cellar. Get back, all you people. Out of the way. Get back, all of you. Officer Roberts, don't go down there. Here's... Officer Roberts! Are you hurt bad? Somebody killed a cop. Yes, it's Officer Roberts.
Call an ambulance. Get help. Do something. Help.
Officer John Roberts was dead, Colonel.
The second murder chalked up against Dwight Beard.
Yes. From descriptions given by the storekeeper and the witnesses, Dallas police, who had memorized Beard's wanted circulars, soon knew that Dwight Beard was the murderer, and emergency squads were hurriedly ordered to converge on the area where Beard was last seen.
All right, you men. Take up your positions back of this wall. The killer's hiding in that garage. Train your machine guns on the door of that garage.
Right,
yes, sir. You other squads over there in position?
Yes, sir.
Keep down, everyone. Hey, you in the garage. We know you're Dwight Beard. You're completely surrounded. Come out before we open fire. All right, men. Now we'll give him a taste of his own medicine. Put around the machine gun bullets through the roof of the garage.
Captain?
Yes?
I'm up here in this fire escape. I can see the killer. He's climbed on the roof of the garage.
What?
There's a truck parked in the street. He's going to try and jump in it and get away.
Come on, men. Follow me.
There's the gunman. He's going to jump fast. Grab him.
Oh,
I got him.
I'm hurt. Let me go.
Get up on your feet.
Put the handcuffs on.
I didn't do anything. I'm hurt. I didn't do anything.
So you thought you could jump to that truck and get away? A college athlete, huh? Come on, Dwight Beard. Start walking. Your jumping days are over.
And so, Colonel Schwarzkopf, for the second time in his life, Dwight Beard was arrested and tried for murder. But this time, the death sentence was carried out. Dwight Beard was electrocuted June 6, 1937, in the prison at Huntsville, Texas.
Thank you, Chief Coffey, for bringing us the facts in this case of Dwight Beard, the eighth bandit. It's too bad that a college education, athletic ability, and social accomplishments should have been used to rob good householders and snuff out the lives of law-abiding citizens. All because he would not learn the fundamental truth that crime never pays. And now, before we broadcast our nationwide clues, a few words from Charles Stark.
Now that Mother and Sis have finished the dinner dishes, the last job in a long, hard day, they'll know what I mean when I talk about a weary back and sore arms. So many people suffer needlessly at a time like that, when just patting on Sloan's liniment will bring them quick and comforting relief. This famous liniment is the friend of all the family, the enemy of muscular aches and pains for more than 50 years. Try it just before going to bed for those housework aches. Or perhaps Dad has a stiff neck from sitting in a draft, or the youngster bumped his elbow playing football. In all those little family emergencies, Sloan's will help smooth out the kinks in those aching muscles. It's easy to apply, just pat it on, and you can feel it go to work like a heat treatment to bring you back to yourself again. If you haven't a bottle on the medicine shelf right now, make sure to ask your druggist for Sloan's liniment when you go shopping tomorrow. And now, the clues.
Warning, citizens of Southwest, watch for escaped Texas bad man Charles G. Duffield, 24, 5 feet 9 inches, 147 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, tattoo, word chief, upper outer left arm, tattoo, emblem, heart and dagger with bird and ribbon, outer right arm. This man, notorious Dallas robber, escaped last week from State Prison Farm in Texas.
Attention, citizens of western states. Beware a man 6 feet or more, 200 pounds, dark bushy hair, small mustache, wearing dark trousers and jacket which look new. This man wanted for robbery last week of store and for subsequent kidnapping and beating of woman, leaving woman unconscious along road, Ely, Nevada.
Caution, citizens of Pacific Coast, be on lookout for bank robber, 35, 5 feet 6 inches, 130 pounds, fair complexion, wore dark double-breasted suit, gray cap, carried .38 caliber blue steel revolver. This man wanted for robbery last week, bank, Los Angeles, California.
If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police or gangbusters at once. Next week, the amazing case of the ruthless gang leader who used dynamite as his tool. Train after train laid waste, innocent victims killed, and the fiend who thought he could escape. Hear how alert police authorities caught this gang through sheer persistence and scientific investigation. You friends of Sloan's liniment are in for another treat as Phillips H. Lord opens Chapter 213 in the officially endorsed America's Crusade Against Crime.
Calling the police, calling the G-men, calling all Americans to war on the underworld.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Last week of store and for subsequent kidnapping and beating of woman, leaving woman unconscious along road, Ely, Nevada. Caution, citizens of Pacific Coast, be on lookout for bank robber, 35, 5 feet 6 inches, 130 pounds, fair complexion, wore dark double-breasted suit, gray cap, carried .38 caliber blue steel revolver. This man wanted for robbery last week, bank, Los Angeles, California.
If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police or gangbusters at once. Next week, the amazing case of the ruthless gang leader who used dynamite as his tool. Train after train laid waste, innocent victims killed, and the fiend who thought he could escape. Hear how alert police authorities caught this gang through sheer persistence and scientific investigation. You friends of Sloan's liniment are in for another treat as Phillips H. Lord opens Chapter 213 in the officially endorsed America's Crusade Against Crime. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the United States Army. Our story is entitled Underwater Soldiers. This is the story of the deep-sea technicians of the 7th Transportation Regiment at Fort Eustis, Virginia, and military divers on 24-hour call at Army port installations from Yokohama to Europe. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment. But first, those who enjoy freedom must help support it. And in these uncertain times, we must remain strong and alert to the dangers that surround us. If you're qualified, you can join Freedom's team by becoming a member of your United States Army. There's an urgent need for technical specialists in every field. You'll receive the world's finest training and at the same time build an interesting and rewarding career. Visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station for full information. And now your Army and your Air Force presents the proudly we hail production, Underwater Soldiers.
A girl swimming at Old Point Comfort Beach, Virginia. The girl, Jane Gunther. The boy, Carl Jordan, taking a final shore weekend before carrying through on an important decision.
Give you a hand back up on the raft, Jane?
Thanks, enough.
Hey, did you see those big blues that sheared off when we went down that time?
Bluefish in this coast?
Yeah, school of them. If we'd have had spears, we could have shot
Carl,
them.
with those rubber slippers on your feet, you move so fast down under, I couldn't keep up with you.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. But the goggles worked out for you that time, didn't they?
Oh, perfectly. Everything was as clear as up here.
Yeah, sometimes things can be clearer underwater than they ever get up here.
What do you mean, Carl?
Well, I head back home to Richmond tomorrow. In a week, I'll be in the Army.
Isn't that what you want to do? Enlist, honey?
Well, sure, but...
You don't sound at all as if...
Well, the trouble is, Jeannie, I told my father I'd make it Army, and I guess that's what it'll have to stick to. He was Army, and I guess he'd almost disown me if I went for anything else.
So would I.
So would you.
Carl, I just realized it. It's just this morning we met for the first time. You've never seen me in anything but the stadium.
You think I'm complaining? You're about the best looking...
The best looking corporal on the beach.
Corporal?
I'm a wax, Carl, from Fort Monroe. I've been in the Army for nearly a year, and I love it.
Oh, well, wait a minute, Jane. Let me get straight on this. Now, I didn't say that...
Whatever you said, for a man going into the Army, you don't sound hilarious about it.
Well, it's probably foolish, but... See, ever since I was a kid, I've been crazy about the water. Ponds, rivers, ocean here, any kind of water. Getting under it mostly with goggles the way we're doing now, and fishing or collecting stuff, or just looking around at all there is to see down below.
You think no one in the Army ever gets a chance to swim?
Well, I'll admit you're stationed near a beach, but it might just be my luck to get assigned 1,000 miles away from salt water.
Carl, you're from Virginia here. Haven't you ever been over to Fort Eustis?
Well, yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Why all the questions?
My brother's a master sergeant over at Fort Eustis. I happen to be meeting him in Newport News tonight for dinner. Oh, would you like to drive over with you?
Well, sure, but found her already.
I think you might like to hear about Bill's job over at Fort Eustis. He's a diver, Carl, and he does his deep-sea work for the United States Army.
Yes, there's a diving section in the Army, in the 7th Transportation Regiment. Both an operating diving section and underwater school are maintained at Fort Eustis, Virginia. And teams of deep-sea military divers are on duty around the world with port maintenance battalions of the Transportation Corps and with amphibious engineer units. That night, when he met Jane's brother, Master Sergeant Bill Gunther, Carl Jordan knew he'd found what he wanted to do in the Army.
You say anyone can put in for training in military diving, Sergeant?
If he qualifies, Jordan. You got to pass Army Regulation 4100 for one thing, and that's one of the stiffest physicals in the Army.
Well, he's nearly as tough as you are, Bill. I've seen him swim.
Well, now, say I'm lucky enough to get by the physical.
You say you've worked in a shipyard and done some welding?
Well, probably not up to your standard, but I've handled the tools.
Well, that'll help. When a diver gets under, he's got to be ready to be about everything for a paper man.
Bill, you're breaking his heart.
Janie, if he's willing and able to learn, and if he can apply what he learns 100 feet down, a couple of tons of water shoving down on you, maybe in mud, 9 times out of 10 without being able to see.
Bill, are you deliberately trying to scare Carl out of trying for the diving school?
Mike Moran says if you can scare a man off by talk, Janie, he's not cut out for a dive. Well, what about it, Jordan? Sound like too tough a deal for you?
You'll have to tell me that, Sergeant, after I get to Fort Eustis. Or at least if they let me get there after I finish basic.
Carl Jordan qualified after his enlistment in the Army and eventually made it to the diving school at Fort Eustis. Welcomed there by Colonel Deagle, commanding officer of the school, Operations Chief Eugene F. Mike Moran, Sergeant Bill Gunther, and other underwater veterans, Carl and the men of his training class began learning the essentials of one of the most challenging jobs in or out of the service.
The Army gives rated divers extra hazard pay because any job you go on can be dangerous. Dangerous and pretty important. Whether you clear mines and underwater obstructions under fire, as Army divers did going into Incheon Harbor, or go down for kegs of government silver dollars, like they once did back in Manila Bay. But if you new men learn enough from your instructors here, and if you keep cool and collected when you're under, you'll do your job, and you'll keep your life. Good luck to all of you.
If the new men learned enough, Carl Jordan and his classmates had facts thrown at them day after day before they ever got near the water. The physical properties of the elements they'd be dealing with.
Pure water is a clear liquid made up of 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. It's compressible, but only slightly. At 39 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the standard for our specific gravity, 1 cc weighing a gram. Most of you men run to muscle and bone. They're slightly heavier than water. Fat tissue and the residual air in your lungs are lighter. Now, what it adds up to is that most of you, unweighted, could float indefinitely as long as you could keep at least a couple of fingers moving.
Air is an invisible, odorless, tasteless mixture of gases formed chiefly of nitrogen and oxygen, nearly in the ratio of 4 to 1. It's compressible and elastic. At sea level, depending on the temperature and barometric pressure, it might take 773 quarts of air to equal the weight of 1 quart of water. That means, for one thing, it doesn't take much air to get you headed back up for the surface. And the deeper you are, the quicker to land.
What they'd be working in, what they'd be working with.
This is your deep gear. Look it over and handle the items, all of you. These are your lead-weighted boots, 22 pounds each. This is your suit, rubber diving dress, 18 1/4 pounds.
Your belt, with a lead block, is your heaviest item, 85 pounds.
Could we get that bell off in a hurry, Mr. Moran? That is, if we had to?
Fast enough, Bracken. But you won't ever have cause to if you handle your lines and the air nozzle as you should. And it's the way your instructors have told you. A man who starts worrying too much on a dip doesn't have time to look out for himself, let alone get his job done.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to give the idea that...
Ask any questions that hit you. Topside's where it's easier to answer them, if we've got the answer. Now, this is your knife, 2 1/2 pounds. And your breastplate and helmet, 54 pounds taken together, make up the basic gear. Just over 200 pounds of it. A lot lighter underwater than it feels here, but there'll be times when you'll think you're lugging a piano on your shoulders. Inside the helmet, you'll generally have a 2-way telephone rig and, of course, your air intake and exhaust. You regulate your air supply.
But the most important equipment any novice diver takes underwater is himself. His own brains, coolness, physical handiness, and some qualities of courage and adaptability that can't be known till a man makes his first dive.
It can be rough down there with a deep rig on, Jordan, even for someone who likes the water. Half the men who try this get washed out for claustrophobia.
They tighten up and panic when they get down there?
With a helmet and a couple of tons of water piled on, anybody can get a touch of it. It can clear up fast if you'll remember what we've taught you. And if you can't lick it, give 4 jerks on the line and we'll haul you up.
Up and out of the school.
No disgrace with a man's makeup. This won't let him loosen up down under. In your case, though, maybe I ought to tell you that Mike Moran thinks you've got the makings of a good deep water man.
The chief said that about me?
He's on operations now, not at the school, and that's an off-the-record guess. He's pulling for all of you in the class anyhow, and he knows no bets hold till the man's actually been down. You all set?
Yeah.
Luck to you, soldier.
Thanks.
All set, Bill, when you and Theo are. Let's go.
The tenders above can follow a man's progress by the used air that keeps bubbling up. In the darkening, strange world Carl Jordan has entered, except for his phone, the man hears only the hiss of the compressed fresh air entering the helmet.
Should be nearly down, Jordan. Air bottom yet?
No. No, not yet, Sergeant.
Current bothering you any?
No.
How about...
About claustrophobia? I got it all right. I feel about as jammed in as a lobster in a milk bottle.
What up?
No. Oh, it took too many months to get down here, Sergeant. I think I'm starting to feel better already. Sure. Sarge, I'm on bottom now.
Good going, soldier. Remember which way for the buoy?
I think it's a half turn, then straight on.
Get going. We'll check your bubble.
Moving right along, Bill. Off course there to start with, then correction, swung back, not a yard out.
Halfway to the buoy. I better get him turned. Jordan, you getting your sea legs down there?
All okay so far. You want me to keep on going?
No. Pull up. Make a half turn right. Go ahead about 4 paces.
Half turn right. Up, 2, 3.
At 4, half turn right again, head back to the barge. Now take it easy, and around or over any obstructions you hit.
Back below the ladder, Sergeant. You want me to start up?
You in a hurry to haul out?
No, I'm beginning to like it down here. If you'll drop me a spear, maybe I can get us a mess of crabs.
Okay. Get started up. But remember, easy does it.
Here, I got him, Bill. All right. There you are, Jordan. Helmet off, and you can start drying away some of that sweat.
Did I qualify? I didn't come up too fast or anything.
You did all right, Jordan. I'm ready to ride with Mike Moran and say maybe you will be a diver before you're through.
Now, hold it, Mac. Sure you did all right, Jordan. First step, you did fine.
Well, thanks, Sergeant. For a minute there, I knew I almost got
But the
on...
Army doesn't send men underwater just to keep cool or catch up with the makings of a fish fry. Now we head back to the shops and you'll really start learning what it takes to make an Army diver.
You mean welding and underwater repair and all that?
Welding, jetting, handling the air saws.
Hey, wait a minute, Bill. Wouldn't it save time if we just say what we're not going to teach you?
Mac, you've got a point. Okay, Jordan, you won't have to get up on needlework, cotton chopping, bass fiddle playing, or brain surgery.
listening to the proudly we hail production Underwater Soldiers. We'll return in just a moment for the second act. The man who measures up will succeed anywhere. For a life of excitement and adventure, join the United States Army. The Army is the proving ground, the place where the men and the boys part company, where you'll learn more about how to take care of yourself and how to lead others in a few short months than you could in a lifetime of civilian activity. In the Army, your opportunities for advancement and leadership are unlimited, but you've got to have what it takes. The man who measures up here will succeed anywhere. Can you measure up? If you think you can, then here's an opportunity for you to serve your country and build a man-sized career for yourself that will take you as far as you want to go. Visit your local U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force recruiting station now. You are listening to Proudly We Hail. And now we present the second act of Underwater Soldiers.
Sergeant Phil Gunther was laying it on a little when he told Carl Jordan the Fort Eustis Diving School candidates might have to learn nearly everything but brain surgery and bass fiddle playing, but not by much. Working often in blackness with only his groping hands to tell him what he's dealing with, an Army diver has to know the techniques of timber, steel, and concrete construction, the handling of pumps and suction devices, understand the interaction of currents and tides, be as ready to rebuild a dock as to blow up an underwater barrier on an ingoing combat landing. But the Army gives these crack troubleshooters an array of special tools, matching the varied calls on their engines.
This is your water stand. It amounts to a weighted high-pressure water hose, and you use it to clear out mud from a working area or from under anything where you want to get a cable or chain in to rig a lift. Back in June, you thought you used to help free a submerged tank.
You rig an airlift when you want to draw up any loose cargo material to lighten a sunken vessel, like gravel or grain or sand. You set your weighted intake down into the material you want to clear.
For cutting piling or any kind of timber underwater, you have this air saw. It's motor-driven and operates by compressed air. With hacksaw teeth, it'll cut through cable. On cable, where you need even faster action, we've got this power velocity cutter. It amounts to firing an expendable blade right through your cable.
Tools for salvage and repair. Tools for destruction. In Korea, between the first and second occupations of the port of Incheon by United Nations forces, United States Army divers serving with the 50th Engineers Port Construction Company had the job of making the docks unusable by the enemy. And then the more satisfying job of helping restore the port to top operating efficiency when the forces of freedom came back to stay, as they had done on scores of jobs from Luzon to Antwerp during and after World War II. At Fort Eustis, as the training schedule reached its final weeks, Carl Jordan and his classmates were moving deeper and deeper under the waters of the James River and the Bay, handling themselves and their varied tools with the rising confidence that comes with practical experience.
All okay down there, Jordan?
All okay, Sergeant.
You're at 80 feet. Rig your guideline on the anchor chain and start a sweep search. When you find the pipe section we dropped, burn off a 1 foot length and bring it up. Got it?
Sweep search till I hit the pipe. Burn off 1 foot length and bring it up. Starting swing to left now, Sergeant.
Carl Jordan did have the makings. 22 weeks after he started training at Fort Eustis, he was graduated from the school and awarded a second-class diver's badge, qualified to work at depths down to 150 feet. The following day, he heard even better news.
Hey, Carl.
Huh?
Carl, wait up a sec.
Oh, what's up, Bill?
You're in luck, soldier. The chief's asked for you in operations here.
Mike thinks I'm good enough to work.
Don't get too cocky. Tuck's been flagged down to the canal zone for a couple of months, and Mike thinks he can make out with you on temporary assignment.
Getting the feel of that rivet drill, Jordan?
I think so, Chief. At least I'm making a little better time than I was this morning.
I've just been posting the new assignment schedule. You'll be an 8-hour standby call tomorrow and Friday.
Mr. Moran.
Yep.
I've been on dry salvage and repair here for nearly a month. Don't I ever get to go down on a real job with you or Mac?
Okay, look. Mac and I both think you're coming along fine. But the day a diver first class asks you to go down more than 150 feet with him on an actual job, just remember he's making a pretty big bet on you.
His life along with mine.
Look, I'd work you below 200 or more if I had to. And we've got a pretty good safety record in this section, Carl. If it takes you 4 months more to make first, you'll still be beating par.
By one of the unpredictable emergencies that keep Operations Chief Mike Moran's divers on around-the-clock call, Carl Jordan, not 6 weeks later, got more than the action he'd been asking for. Taken along as alternate second diver on what should have been a run-of-the-mill, shallow salvage operation in Florida, Carl learned on arrival of their plane at the Army base that this mission wasn't to be routine.
Mac, signal's off on the unloading. There was a call from Mike waiting here, and we've got to get the gear back on the plane.
Mike wants us back at Eustis. We just got here.
There's an emergency call from over below Jacksonville. Civilian diver trapped down at 240. Jordan, Keo, gear back on the plane.
Let's go, guys.
Mac, pilot's checking now on an emergency strip down below Jacksonville that should let us set the plane down within a mile of an inlet. There we can pick up a boat. But come on, I'll tell you on the way.
You the Army team they said was coming out?
Right. I'm Sergeant Gunther. This is Sergeant McMays and Corporal Jordan. Your Parrot's the one who radioed in?
Yes, right. I thought maybe I'd get through the Navy at Charleston, but they told me from Jacksonville you guys were already in the area. Oh, thank the Lord for that.
What kind of trouble is your partner in down there?
Scalzi? Yeah, I'm scared he's almost had it. I'm not sure what you can do. See, there's a big charter boat down there. We were trying to seal off the engine room and get some air into it for a drum lift. But the hull shifted with Scalzi working inside, slipped off down 50 feet deeper, and clamped him in tight.
Doesn't he have any
No,
tools?
his leg's broken. Jammed under a casing that shifted when the hull rolled. The way his lines are now, you'll have to burn or cut in to get him loose.
You weren't able to go down yourself?
I've got a trick heart. Doc just caught up with it a month ago. Said if I ever try to work below 50 feet again, I could go out like a light. This was just supposed to be a survey Scalzi was running today. I told him an hour ago I'd go down anyhow, but he said I'd be losing 2 for sure instead of 1 for maybe, and he'd rather take his chances waiting for a rescue team.
Okay, however he got there, it'll take 2 men to get him up. Mac, maybe you better take the Arc torch and...
Dude, you can't go down this first trip.
I can't go. What do you mean, Carl?
You're the master diver, the only one who can direct 2 men below, or bail them out if anyone gets fouled up.
It's a 2-man job, Carl. Mac can't swing it alone.
Let me go down with it.
At 240 feet, kid? Well, the deepest you've worked is...
I've been below 200, and I could have worked there.
Now, wait a minute, Mac. Jordan's got a point. If there's trouble with both of us down, that leaves him trying to get 3 men up from 240.
I can never try alone, Bill. You won't have
No, I want you topside, Mac.
You're going down alone, Bill? You just said yourself...
I'm going down with Jordan. Get him locked up, Theo. And Parrish, if you've got a phone hook up down to Scalzi.
Bill.
Getting cold feet, Carl?
No, I just want to say thanks. You're the one who's taking the chance.
Get locking, soldier. We got a job on. This your phone, Parrish?
That's it, Sergeant.
Scalzi.
Yeah. Who's that?
Sergeant Gunther, Army Diving Section. You still okay down there except for the leg?
Yeah, call us medium, Sergeant. But if ever I was glad to hear...
Well, 2 of us are coming down for you. And you give us a setup.
I don't know how you get at me. The way the boat's keeled over, you'll have to cut through 3-inch holes.
They're down over 230, Phil. All okay?
Okay, Mac. We've been guiding on Scalzi's line. Wait a minute. I'm on bottom. Thick growth, but hard under. Cut over to Jordan and see if he's down.
Jordan, you on bottom yet?
Just touched, Mac.
Okay.
Okay. Smack up against the hull. I can't see Bill.
Hold there, and he'll work in by you. You're still left of Scalzi's line?
Yes.
Bill, Jordan's in at the hull, still guiding on Scalzi's line from left.
All right. Tell him I'm going in on the right. I'll make hand contact.
Jordan, as you are till Bill makes hand contact. And keep watching your line. Jordan.
Cut through to Scalzi, Mac. He's still okay.
Bill told me. Now he wants to know if you can lever up that casing or whatever it is that's holding Scalzi's leg.
I got a jack under it now.
A jack? You didn't take down a jack.
No, I found one here. Plain old car hand jack. And it works.
At 240, you've been scrounging around for a jack? Okay, kid, okay. Get lifting. Phil'll pull him out if you can work the casing up. There's the inlet ahead, Bill. 10 minutes we're in.
How's the legs, Scalzi? Those splints bothering you any?
Oh, don't worry about the legs, Sergeant. Just being topside and alive is more than I ever thought I'd have.
Well, you can thank Diver first-class Jordan here for that, Scalzi. If we'd had to take time to try burning that case.
Diver first class? Bill, you can't qualify me just for getting lucky on this one job. In the book, it says I got...
Mike Moran can qualify you whenever you're ready. When he hears how you promoted that car jack down inside there at 240, well, I got 5-1. It says you're in.
10-1, Bill. And I'll throw in that Mike sets up both of you to the two biggest shore dinners you ever tucked away.
Now, wait a minute, you Army guys. After what you did today...
Hey, Scalzi, take it easy now, will you? You twist that leg around.
If the soldiers ask me, I'll twist it off and give it to them for salvage. If anybody's buying shore dinners for the Army, Sergeant, I'm putting in to pick up the check.
We all share freedom, help share its defense. Join the Army team. Yes, now, as always, the United States Army is dedicated to the defense of freedom, your freedom. You can do something...
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Tonight, owing to Mr. Conway's illness, the part of Sherlock Holmes will be played by Mr. Ben Wright. And now for our weekly visit with Sherlock Holmes' famous colleague, your friend and mine, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bell. I'm glad to see you. Make yourself at home.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. You know, I've been waiting eagerly all week to hear about the singular affair of the ancient Egyptian curse.
And a most singular affair it was, to be sure. It had its beginnings in the august halls of the British Museum. I've been looking over my old records to refresh my memory, and even after all these years, it sends what in Scotland they call a cow grue down my spine.
I can hardly wait, Dr. Watson. Recently, in a poll conducted throughout the country, women picked the 10 best groomed men in America. These men were all men at the top: statesmen, governors, motion picture stars, producers, and millionaires. And men, I'm sure you'll be interested in hearing how a recent survey showed that Kreml Hair Tonic is preferred among America's top-flight executives and most successful men. But then why shouldn't it be? Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This is why Kreml gives a man's hair such a natural, well-groomed look, such a handsome, clean-cut appearance. Kreml also keeps the hair neatly in place longer with a healthy-looking luster. Yet it never leaves your hair looking or feeling greasy. After you apply Kreml, you can rub your hand over your hair and your hair always feels so delightfully clean. Notice, too, how no greasy film comes off on your hand or on your hatband. Just use a little Kreml on your hair in the morning, and at night your hair looks as neatly groomed as when you first combed it in the morning. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, what about the singular affair which began in the sacrosanct confines of the British Museum?
Well, I must admit that I was not a frequent visitor to those gloomy halls, but on this particular morning, Holmes had been insistent. All the scientists in London, especially the archaeologists, were agog over the arrival of Lord Cranwood's sensational Egyptian discoveries. For several days, Holmes had been deeply immersed in research among the Cranwood antiquities, so that now I found myself in the Egyptian gallery of the British Museum.
I say, Watson, look here. This notation definitely proves the use of stringed instruments as well as flutes as early as 3000 B.C.
Oh, very interesting, Holmes. Very interesting indeed.
If you please, sir. The smoking is absolutely forbidden.
Huh? Oh, all right.
Hello, Holmes.
Oh, Watson, I don't think you know Professor Halliday of the British Museum. Professor, this is my friend, Dr. Watson.
Dr. Watson? Not the eminent Dr. Eustace Watson, the well-known archaeologist of Edinburgh. I'm honored.
No, sir. Dr. John H. Watson of Baker Street.
Oh, sorry.
This is Dr. Watson's first visit to all your magnificent new acquisitions, Professor Halliday.
It's a veritable treasure house, gentlemen. The late Lord Cranwood's excavations at the site of ancient Abydos have given the museum a priceless mine of information.
Yet the price in human lives has not been inconsiderable. First Lord Cranwood himself, only a few days after the shrine of Har-Shafit was opened.
A man of almost 80, Mr. Holmes. The strain and excitement of the discovery were too much for him.
No doubt. And then a month later, Dr. Dumas, disappearing mysteriously from camp, only to be found hopelessly insane and babbling madly before he died. And young Wilson vanished into thin air and assumed to have been lost overboard from the ship that was bringing the expedition back to England. Oh, it was a calm, moonlit night.
Don't tell me that you, of all people, believe this newspaper talk of Har-Shafit's curse, Mr. Holmes.
I believe nothing that is not susceptible of proof, Professor. Evidently, the new Lord Cranwood is quite undisturbed by any threats of a curse upon his family. I've seen him working here every day this week.
Oh, is that Lord Cranwood?
Yes, the heavy-set, middle-aged man over there, just beyond that fifth sarcophagus.
Fifth which?
The chap with the rather florid face, just packing those notes into his briefcase.
Oh, looks fit enough, I must say. Judging from his appearance, I should think that the curse of what's-his-name wouldn't have much luck with him.
You'll excuse me, gentlemen. I want a word with Lord Cranwood before he leaves.
Sir Holmes, supposing I run along. I'll meet you at the club for lunch and...
Lord Cranwood, what's the matter?
Why, he's collapsed.
Quick, Watson.
I don't understand. He just seemed to keel over.
Let me take a look at him.
You were standing right beside him, Professor. Just what happened?
I was speaking to him. He clutched his throat, tried to say something, and collapsed.
Holmes.
Yes, Watson?
The man's dead.
Impossible.
Cause of death, Watson?
Well, I should have said heart, but...
But the curious rigidity of the muscles of his hands and throat aren't consistent with that diagnosis. Is that it, Watson?
Quite correct, Holmes.
You would better notify Scotland Yard at once, Professor Halliday.
Scotland Yard? Mr. Holmes, are you suggesting...
I suggest nothing, Professor Halliday. But Lord Cranwood has died extremely suddenly. In view of the 3 previous deaths which have occurred among the members of the expedition, I feel that this is definitely a matter for the police.
I'll send for them at once.
I'm certain, Watson, that a second look at Lord Cranwood's body will suggest to your mind a cause of death with which you cannot be unfamiliar after your army career in India. The congested eyeballs, the rigid neck muscles.
You mean snake bite?
Precisely. The bite of some venomous and highly poisonous snake is the only cause consistent with these appearances.
But there are no snakes here in the British Museum.
That, Watson, is why I sent for Scotland Yard.
been pacing up and down now for 2 solid days, Holmes. Would it be too much to ask you to be seated for at least 5 minutes?
I'm sorry, Watson. The lack of any satisfactory solution to the problem of Lord Cranwood's death has driven me almost out of my mind.
You find the problem insoluble, then?
So far. Come in. Inspector Lestrade. I've been expecting a call from you.
This thing's fair got me beat, Mr. Holmes.
Sit down, Inspector. Can I get you a drink?
Thank you, Doctor. I'll be glad of one. Well, we've got the coroner's verdict, Mr. Holmes, and much good it does us. Death by misadventure from unknown causes.
Well, you could hardly expect a coroner's jury to say more. Did the Home Office pathologist confirm my opinion?
Here you are, Lestrade.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. All the appearances of death were consistent with the bite of some deadly snake. But did we find any snakes running around? Were there any snake bites on the deceased body? No. While you yourself, within a few yards of the man, Mr. Holmes, and you know as well as I do, that if a man gets bitten by a snake, he's going to let out a yell.
I know exactly how you feel, Lestrade.
Yeah, and have you seen the papers? Scotland Yard baffled by 5,000-year-old curse. Death strikes again from Egyptian tomb.
You can't blame the journalist, Lestrade. It's a newspaper editor's dream.
And Scotland Yard's nightmare. Well, I must be off. The commissioner wants to see me this afternoon. You can be thankful this isn't one of your cases, Mr. Holmes. I think this one would be too much even for you.
Phew. I've never seen Lestrade quite so worked up before.
And I can't say that I blame him, Watson. Well, come along. Since the late Lord Cranwood's funeral is to take place at 2 o'clock, we might well stroll over to Hanover Square. Perhaps a brisk walk may serve to blow the cobwebs from our brains.
First time I've known you stand about outside a church at a funeral, Holmes, peering at the relatives of the dead man.
I'm anxious to see the new Lord Cranwood, as well as his relatives. He was a nephew of the late Lord's, you know, and the family's interest in Egyptology has been inherited by him, along with the title.
Here they come. I wouldn't want to be in his boots with a curse hanging over me head.
There's Lord Cranwood, Watson.
Husky-looking young chap. It looks as though it'd take more than a family curse to get him down. Who's that coming after him, the pale young fellow in the wheelchair?
His cousin, Mr. Neville Robertson, I believe. Been hopelessly paralyzed ever since boyhood. Horse rolled on him while hunting.
Yes, the lines of pain and suffering are very evident in the poor fellow's face.
That must be Robertson's older brother, Mr. Oliver Robertson. That rather heavy-set young man just coming out. I assume that's his wife with him, the girl with the black veil.
Well, it's rather rough on them, all these curious people staring. Come along, Holmes. Let's be off.
Very well, Watson. I've seen all that
I beg your pardon, sir, but aren't you Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes.
Oh, my name's Oliver Robertson. Fortunate coincidence, my seeing you here. I'd intended sending you a message this evening.
A message?
Yes, I wanted you to... Well, this is hardly the place to discuss such matters. Look, I'm staying at my cousin, Lord Cranwood's house. I wonder if you'd be good enough to come there this evening.
Would 9 o'clock be satisfactory?
Excellent, Mr. Holmes. Good day, sir.
Good day, Mr. Roberts.
Oh, come in, gentlemen, come in. I don't think you know my wife. Dear, may I introduce Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
How do you do? And this is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
I'm very happy to see you here, Mr. Holmes. And you too, Dr. Watson.
Mr. Holmes, my wife and I, well, to put it frankly, have asked you to come here because we're afraid. And not for ourselves, but for my cousin, the new Lord Cranwood.
Mr. Holmes, neither Oliver nor myself is of a nervous temperament. But if you've read the accounts of the Cranwood expedition, you must appreciate my feeling that we're contending against more than mere ill fate.
4 members of the same small group, dying mysteriously or by violence within a few weeks of each other.
Well, so you don't put any stock in all this talk about an ancient Egyptian curse?
I don't really know.
Tell me, Mr. Robertson, does the new Lord Cranwood share your fears?
I regret to say he does not. He laughed when I told him I'd asked you here.
Am I interrupting a council of war, or may I be permitted to be present?
Oh, come in by all means, Neville. Here, let me give you a hand with your wheelchair.
I can manage.
My brother Neville, gentlemen. Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson.
How do you do? I assume that the presence of the celebrated sleuth of Baker Street is not unconnected with the curse of the Cranwood.
Please, Neville, don't make fun of us for being frightened. After all, it's Derek we're worrying about, not ourselves.
Time enough for you to worry, Oliver, when the curse catches up with Derek. Then you'll be Lord Cranwood yourself, and it'll be my turn to start worrying.
I gather, Mr. Robertson, that you are somewhat skeptical regarding the efficacy of Harshafit's 5,000-year-old curse.
My granduncle died of heart failure after the excitement of discovering the tomb. Dr. Dumas' death was certainly not the first case of sunstroke that's ever been heard of in Egypt. And Wilson, who fell overboard from the ship, was notoriously fond of the bottle. Does that answer your question?
Ingenious, Mr. Robertson, but it leaves out of account your uncle's death in the British Museum the other day.
I could offer you a dozen theories to account for that, but I doubt if they'd be sensational enough to please you.
Mr. Holmes, regardless of what my cousin may say, and I know he'll agree with my brother, I wish to engage you to prevent any repetition of the tragedies which have already struck this family.
Do say you will, Mr. Holmes.
I will do my best, Mr. Robertson, to keep Lord Cranwood safe from harm, but without his cooperation, I greatly fear that
Stimson said he wanted to see me, Oliver. Oh, I beg your pardon. I didn't know you had guests. I very much want to see you, Derek. This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. My cousin, Lord Cranwood, gentlemen.
How do you do?
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I have no sympathy with my brother's fears, nor do I see any necessity for dragging detectives into this matter. I trust you'll excuse me. Good night.
Well, you see, Mr. Holmes, it's just as I told you.
But I do hope you'll do your best anyway, Mr. Holmes.
I promise you I shall.
Your task won't be made any easier, Mr. Holmes, by my cousin's stubborn determination to continue working at the museum. He's arranged with Professor Halliday to work there at night in the future, beginning tomorrow. He wishes to avoid the stares of the curious.
Interesting.
Great Scott, my watch must have stopped. 9:30, and I haven't as yet fed my snakes.
Snakes? Did you say snakes?
Why, yes, Doctor. Since my affliction debars me from digging in Egyptian tombs and similar active pastimes, I amuse myself with a small herpetarium. Would you care to see my collection?
Good heavens, no.
Or some other time, perhaps, Mr. Robertson. Dr. Watson and I must be off.
Good. Snakes. I must say, Holmes, that I find that sinister cripple Neville and his nasty collection of poisonous reptiles highly suspicious.
Well, there's no doubt that Neville's personality has been warped by his affliction. And the availability of snake venom is, of course, significant.
And look at his motive, Holmes. Look at his motive. The Cranwood title and the Cranwood fortune.
But there's one thing you've forgotten, Watson. Even if the new Lord Cranwood were to die, it would be Neville's older brother who would inherit. Oliver and his wife would become Lord and Lady Cranwood.
Are you trying to tell me that a murderer who'd killed two men would boggle at a third? If Cranwood dies and Oliver gets the title, he'd be the last barrier Neville's way. I don't like to say it, Holmes, but for once you seem to be singly obtuse about the facts of this case.
Possibly, Watson. At any rate, I intend that you and I shall be present, although concealed, when Lord Cranwood visits the Egyptian galleries tomorrow night.
You mean that you anticipate an attempt upon his life?
As I have told you on previous occasions, Watson, it's a great mistake to theorize ahead of one's data.
Mr. Holmes, you don't really put any faith in all this talk about the supernatural curse?
Do you, Watson?
Dash it, no, of course not.
Good. Well, then I trust that tomorrow night you will arm yourself with your service revolver.
Oh, really?
Yes, Watson. I should like to be in readiness for anything we may encounter at the British Museum. Supernatural or otherwise.
Empty place at night, isn't it?
Carved humanity? Yes.
What do you mean?
Merely that the relics of the past are all about us.
Oh, yes, of course, sir.
On this way, through the northern vestibule.
I say, Holmes, what's that thing? Looks like a coffin.
That's what it is.
Oh, good Scott.
Here we are. He'll no doubt work at that long table. It has the only decent light in the room. Now, you take that side of the table, Watson. I'll take this. And make certain there's no one and nothing concealed.
You're not expecting to find a snake anywhere, are you, Holmes?
I don't expect to find anything. I merely wish to make certain that there is nothing to find. Now, careful, Watson. Don't knock over that little figure.
What the devil is it?
And the Egyptians call those little statues the answerers. They were buried in the cedar coffins within the sarcophagi to accompany the dead and to obey their orders.
A pleasant idea, I must say. Well, there's nothing hidden on this side of the table.
Nor here. Now, there's an excellent spot to conceal ourselves. Over here, Watson.
Great. God, what a horrible sight. What sort of a nightmare is that?
And appropriately enough, it's a statue of Harshafit, a ram-headed god. Oh, excellent, Watson. Now, this will do perfectly. We can see everything in the room from behind here.
Just what are you expecting, Holmes?
I don't know. Quiet. There's someone coming. It's Lord Cranford.
Yes, he's taking his papers out of his briefcase. Oh, now that he's turned the lamp up, I can see it better. Oh, he's all right so far. He's settling down to work.
What? Something's wrong. Quick!
He must have fainted.
Here's the antitoxin. Give him the injection. Hurry!
It's too late, Holmes. He's dead.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson as they endeavor to solve the mystery of the ancient Egyptian curse. Men, if you want to be a success in life, remember that well-groomed hair adds a great deal to a man's appearance. And one of the first requisites of handsome, healthy-looking hair is a hygienic scalp. So start at once and take better care of the hair you've got. And if you're smart, you'll use Kreml hair tonic. No other hair tonic keeps the hair more neatly in place without looking or feeling greasy. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Kreml's light oils have a grand lubricating effect on a dry scalp. At the same time, Kreml removes itchy, loose dandruff. Notice how alive and tingling your scalp feels. And you like to massage Kreml on your scalp because it's such a clean product. It never feels greasy or sticky. And if your hair, like so many men's, is so dry that it breaks and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable, and look as if it had some body to it. So men, for handsome, groomed hair and a more hygienic scalp, use Kreml daily. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drugstore. Ask for an application at your barber's. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. That famous modern hair tonic which has become such a nationwide favorite. And now back to Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson and our story.
I say, Holmes, if you won't have any lunch, you at least take a cup of tea.
No, thank you, Watson. I'm not hungry.
You've been saying that ever since that poor fellow Derrick was killed the night before last. You simply must eat, Holmes.
My appetite will return when I have a solution for this case, Watson, and not before.
Well, I've hesitated to say it, Holmes, but if that man had died by any natural means in front of our very eyes, I'm perfectly certain that you would have solved the riddle.
Well, if your hypothesis is correct, Watson, this case is not a matter of the mortal's mind. And that I refuse to admit.
No, we saw him come in. We saw him open his briefcase. He turned up the lamp, sat down.
Thank you, Watson.
Thank me for what?
You've just given me some remarkably interesting food for thought.
Oh, really? Come in. Why, Mrs. Robertson. Oh, I beg your pardon. It's Lady Cranwood now, isn't it?
Makes me unhappy to say that it is, Dr. Watson.
Won't you sit down, Lady Cranwood? I've already expressed to your husband my deep feeling over the tragedy I failed to prevent.
Let me assure you, Mr. Holmes, that neither my husband nor I feel that you were in any way to blame.
I appreciate your kindness, Lady Cranwood, but I still blame myself for having failed to reach a solution.
And that is why I've come to see you this morning, Mr. Holmes. I hardly know how to say it. My suspicion is such a horrible one.
Oh, there, my dear.
I'm convinced that Oliver is in deadly peril. And from his own brother.
Do you hear that, Holmes?
You felt it too, Dr. Watson. Oh, I've been fighting down a horrible thought, denying it even to myself. But I felt I had to tell you, Mr. Holmes.
Well, have you any proof, Lady Cranmore? Anything definite on which to base such an accusation?
Only Neville's sneers and his jealousy of my husband. And those horrible snakes of his.
Perhaps you may be able to assist me in confirming or disproving your suspicions of Neville, Lady Cranmore.
Anything I can do, Mr. Holmes. Anything.
I imagine that the entire family, and the servants as well, will all be attending the funeral this afternoon.
Yes, of course.
Then, if you will be good enough to leave me your key to the house, I shall take advantage of everyone's absence to go there and investigate one or two possibilities that have occurred to me.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. Here is the key.
Thank you. One other thing. I should appreciate it if you would ask your husband to meet Watson and myself at the museum tonight, about 9 o'clock.
At the museum?
Yes. I feel that a reenactment of the late Lord Cranwood's death may bring us to a solution.
Do you think it's necessary, Mr. Holmes?
I think it is vitally necessary.
Very well. I will ask my husband to meet you at the museum at 9. I must go now. Goodbye. Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
Goodbye. Poor woman, no wonder she's overwrought.
Come, Watson. Your hat and stick. We have work to do.
Cranwood's house, you mean?
Well, I shall go there this afternoon. But meanwhile, I want you to take a note to Lestrade at Scotland Yard and personally see to it that he gets it.
And then?
Meet me at 9 o'clock tonight at the British Museum.
Well, I must say, Holmes, that as long as we had to come back to this chamber of horrors, I'm glad that you insisted on a decent amount of illumination.
Since we won't be concealing ourselves this evening, Watson, I asked Professor Halliday to leave the Egyptian gallery fully lighted. Now, you sit here, Watson.
Well, as long as none of the professors are about, Holmes, I don't suppose the museum will be shaken to its foundations if I smoke the pipe. Ah. Huh, that's better.
Good evening, Lord Cranwood.
Good evening. Lady Cranwood?
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson.
Good evening.
Well, I fail to see what purpose will be served by a reenactment of my cousin's tragic death, but I'm willing to do anything within my power that will offer any hope.
I insist on coming with Oliver, Mr. Holmes. I'm afraid every moment I'm away from him.
Well, now, Lord Cranwood, let us try in every way to duplicate your cousin's actions of 2 nights ago. I have here his briefcase, and I'd like you to enter through those doors, carrying the briefcase in your left hand and humming a tune.
All right. Ready?
All right, go ahead. Now, put the briefcase down on this table. Take off your hat and coat and put them on the table.
Any particular place you want them?
Oh, I just place them on the table as your cousin did. Now, open the briefcase.
Ouch. I thought
What were you about to say?
Nothing.
You were about to say, Lord Cranwood, that you thought the ingenious adaptation of the Borgia's poison needle had been removed from its mount in the briefcase lock.
What on earth are you talking about?
I found that fiendishly clever mechanism in your study this afternoon.
Holmes, what do you mean?
I mean that this briefcase was fitted with a poison needle, which was removed after Derek's death.
Oh, no.
And which I replaced when I found it at your house this afternoon.
How horrible, how utterly vile.
I also found some of the poison, Lord Cranwood. And I greatly fear that when I remounted the needle in the briefcase after my experiments, some of the venom may have remained on it.
It was, Neville.
Bluff, Holmes. Sheer bluff. You wouldn't dare.
If you think I'm bluffing, Lord Cranwood, why is your face going so pale? You're clutching your arm with your other hand. Why?
Fiend, it was poison.
Oh, darling.
My arm's swelling. It's going numb. There's no feeling left in my hand.
No, Oliver. Mr. Holmes must be mad.
Must you, Holmes? You've killed me. All right, I did it. I killed the others, but you'll never hang me.
All right, Lestrade. There's your confession.
It's a confession, all right, Dr. Holmes, but all you've given us is the corpse of a murderer.
He's dead. You've killed him.
Not a bit of it. He's only collapsed from fear.
Holmes, the pain in his arm, the symptoms.
Merely a harmless though painful solution which I placed on the poison needle.
Oh.
Catch her, Watson. She's fainting.
That Oliver's a fiend, Holmes, an absolute fiend.
Oh, unquestionably. But you must admit that his hiring us was an ingenious attempt at a novel method of removing all possible suspicion from himself. And now he'll pay the penalty for murdering at least 2 men.
A good thing, too, though I'm sure I don't know how you ever found out about the briefcase.
Why, you gave me the clue, Watson. You yourself.
I did?
Back in Baker Street when you were talking about the second death. You mentioned that we had seen Lord Cranwood enter the room. Open his briefcase.
Well, we did.
Exactly. But until you mentioned it, the significant fact had escaped me that the only object common to both deaths and handled by both men was the briefcase.
Good gracious me. Well, that solves the mystery of the ancient Egyptian curse.
Does it, Watson? Have you forgotten the 3 who died previously under such strange circumstances after they had opened Harshapi's temple?
You don't mean that you really believe in that stupid curse?
Those 3 deaths have still not been explained, and I doubt that they ever will be. There are powers, Watson, higher powers, of which we poor humans still know nothing.
Ladies, the poet who said a woman's hair was her crowning glory certainly knew what he was talking about. That's why you ladies should take the very best care of your hair, especially in shampooing.
I'm glad you brought that point up, Mr. Bell, because many popular shampoos have a tendency to dry the hair.
Well, here's one shampoo that will never dry the hair, never under any circumstances, and it's Kreml shampoo.
Yes, Kreml shampoo is simply wonderful. It actually glamour bathes each tiny strand of hair so that it fairly radiates natural, dazzling highlights. It leaves the hair simply gleaming with natural, glossy luster. And what's more, your hair stays this way for days.
Kreml shampoo is not a soapless shampoo. It's not a cream shampoo. It's entirely different.
Kreml shampoo never hurts the texture of your hair. You can use it as often as you wish, over a long period of time, and it'll never dry your hair. In fact, it has a beneficial built-in oil base, which actually helps keep the hair from becoming dry or brittle.
Remember, ladies, that beautiful Powers models wash their hair with Kreml shampoo. They claim no other shampoo leaves their hair more shining bright, yet never dries the hair. Why not try it? Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, next week I think I'll tell you a story about the strange and ferocious behavior of Professor Presby's dog. And the even stranger behavior of the professor himself. I call it The Adventure of the Creeping Man.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, A Study in Scarlet. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tonight, the part of Sherlock Holmes was played by Mr. Ben Wright. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight, with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steinert. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of the creeping man. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
How long are we going to hang around here, Stan?
I'm giving him 5 more minutes.
Nice wood, nice bricks, lovely roofing. They'll look good on the school and better on the kind of house we're investing in.
What's the laugh? I told those bums to have men here.
Well, I didn't mean nothing, Stan. They wouldn't dare not send the men over.
It looks like they're daring. What are they? Nothing but a bunch of 2-for-a-nickel dumbheads who can lay bricks or put up a roof.
Well, don't get sore at me, Stan. I ain't done nothing.
I've waited for them long enough. Come on, Hod. We're going places.
Anything you say, boss.
I say we're going to find out who's running things around here. And if the answer ain't Stan Dawson, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. Bad.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay,
based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Building Blocks, starring Richard Durr. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Durr as Stan Dawson in Building Blocks. At the turn of the century, the term was graft. Today, the term is racket. 50 years ago, misappropriation of public funds was a practice confined to a few corrupt politicians. Today, such activity is part and parcel of organized crime, founded on the same methods which enable the underworld to creep into so much of everyday life: intimidation, terror, and death. Stan Dawson was considered a smart cookie in the district where he operated. He and his lieutenant, Hart Westby, were unknown to the vast majority of the plain people in whose midst they lived. They certainly were unknown to Tom Benson, Whitey Walker, and their comrades in the building trades, until the day when Tom, Whitey, and the rest of the union board met to discuss new work for which contracts had just been signed.
All right, man, discussion's open.
Tom?
Whitey Walker has the floor.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. Will the new school building mean bigger income to the union?
Well, it can, and it may not.
How so?
Well, it seems to me if putting up the new school means just a few jobs, then the men working on it, well, they'll be only paid-up members. It won't bring in any more dues. But if there are a lot of jobs, well, men behind in their dues will be paying up and will be taking in more new members, too.
Well, has anybody seen the plans? How big a job is it?
The plans are filed at the city hall. Plenty big, Whitey. Plenty.
Then it should be good for a lot of people.
If you're talking about the new school, it'll be good for you. If you fellas do like I ask.
This is a private meeting, gentlemen. Strangers are not allowed.
Get him, Hart. Strangers not allowed.
Yeah, get him. The big shot.
You want to see us? Wait outside.
Shut up, you.
You heard the boss, didn't you?
I said shut up. I came here for a purpose. You listen.
Do we have to take this, Tom?
I don't see why.
You'll see why. Now listen. I'm Stan Dawson. This is Hart Westby.
Never heard of you.
You have now, smart guy, and if you know what's good for you, you'll listen, see? Accidents have happened before on new buildings. Guys can get killed on scaffolds.
We don't have to listen to your threats, Mr. Dawson, whoever you may be.
Sit down, shut up.
I'm the chairman here.
Now get this. I'm running the building trades racket in this town, see? Okay, you get it now, do you? Well, get this, too. I'm declaring myself in on the new school. Truckman's organization has learned its lesson. They're cooperating with me, see? Tell them, Hod.
A truckload of bricks can make an awful mess of a man when the steering gear goes bad all of a sudden.
Understand? Okay. So here's the pitch. The truckers will see to it that I get the building materials where I want them. You characters are going to see to it that I get the labor to build me some nice places out of that material when and where I want it. Everybody on the school job donates one day's work to me, Stan Dawson. You'll be on the city payroll, but you work for me. You work for me, that is, if you know what's good for you. I'll let you know when and where. What you so surprised about? Look at them, Hart. A real bunch of dummies. They never heard of this racket before. Okay, Mr. Dodge, you got the lot, 6 of them. I'll pay cash.
I think you ought to understand, Mr. Dawson, the land and that development is reasonable because building materials are so scarce hereabouts.
I'll worry about the building materials. You give me the lots. How much?
$50 apiece, be all right?
$300 cash. I'll take title right away. Mr. Dodge, I'm a fast operator. I'm going to have houses on those lots before you can say I'm a bricklayer. carpenters will take care of it for me.
Okay, Mr. Dawson. They usually like the wood off in one corner of the lot. Like about here?
And start unloading. Hard'll give you a hand, won't you, Hard?
Me? Handle them planks?
Oh, you're big and strong, aren't you, Hard? And if that driver's nice enough to deliver us a load of lumber to this lot like he's going to deliver bricks tomorrow and roofing the day after like we planned, the least we can do is give him a hand unloading, see?
How long are we going to hang around here, Stan?
I'm giving him 5 minutes more.
Nice wood, nice bricks, lovely roofing. They'll look good on a school and better on the kind of house we're investing in.
What's the laugh? I told those bums to have men here.
Well, I didn't mean nothing, Stan. They wouldn't dare not send men over.
Looks like they're daring. What are they? Nothing but a bunch of two-for-a-nickel dumbheads who can lay bricks and put up a roof.
Well, don't get sore at me, Stan. I ain't done nothing.
I've waited for them long enough. Come on, Hard. We're going places.
Yeah. Anything you say, boss.
I say we're going to find out who's running things around here. If the answer ain't Stan Dawson, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. Bad. Okay, Benson, you too, Walker.
Oh, it's you, Dawson.
Why don't you and your hoodlums shut that door, Dawson, with yourselves on the outside?
Still a wise guy, aren't you, Walker?
Wise enough not to play ball with bums like you?
Should I let him have it, boss?
Not yet, Hard. But he'll learn. They all do.
State your business, Dawson, and
you know
out.
my business. I want this union to assign men to my jobs.
Are you prepared to pay the regular scale?
Are you kidding?
Look, Dawson, we're not sending any men from the school job over to your lots on city time. Get it through your thick head.
Save the name-calling, Walker. We've got special treatment for characters like you.
I've been laying bricks for 20 years. Hoodlums don't scare me.
Let me have a
I'll
boss.
handle this. Now get this straight, Benson. I bought me some lots, see? The truck drivers got sense. When I tell them one load a day gets delivered to my lots, by mistake, they do like they're told. So I got all the material I need. From roofers to plumbing, from flooring to electric fixtures. The city will never miss this stuff. Now, I want that material put together into houses on my lots. I want your men to do that building 1 day a week each, while they're on the city payroll, period. Get those men on my jobs, Benson, and I ain't kidding. That's all. Come on, Hod.
Tom.
Yes, dear?
What's wrong, Tom?
Nothing, Grace. Nothing. And what'd you do that for?
Because I want to talk to you, dear.
What about?
I want to know what's been on your mind these past few weeks.
Well, not a thing, Grace. Not a thing.
That's not so. I've been married to you for 15 years. I know when something's wrong. Is it the school job?
School's going up fine. Lots of men working. Good thing for the whole town.
Is there graft, Tom?
I suppose so. The city contract.
But I thought you and the union were going to fight graft, Tom.
We are.
But...
No but.
There is. Someplace. There's something wrong, and I mean to find out what it is. I'll get it.
No, I'll go.
Very well, Tom, but you don't get off that easily.
Hi, Benson.
Yeah, hiya.
I'll see you at the office.
You'll see us here. Now, keep out of my home.
Don't be childish, Benson. That's better. Nice of you to invite us in.
Yeah, real nice. What do you want?
Workmen. In my house. You know that, Benson.
Is anything wrong, Oh, excuse me.
You can stay, lady.
Yeah, you can stay.
Grace, go back into the living room. I said she stays.
But I don't understand.
Not necessarily. Oh, but it is. You see, Mrs. Benson, your husband is refusing to cooperate with the Building Contractors Protective Association, of which I happen to be president. And my friend here is executive secretary.
The Contractors Protective Association? What's that?
We protect contractors against unions like your husband's that that refuse to let men work on certain jobs.
Tom? You don't let men work? Well, that's not
You
right.
don't understand. This isn't a legitimate job.
But the contractors. You better tell me, Tom.
Go on, Benson. Tell her about it the way you see it.
This man has stolen building materials from the school job. He wants the union to send men over to build for him while they're on city time. Well, that's stealing, too, and we'll have no part of it.
So this is why you... Tom, I think these men are leaving.
That's only your husband's way of telling the story, Mrs. Benson. Oh, I think you'll see it all differently. In a few minutes.
Let go of me.
Take your hands off my wife.
Work him over, huh?
With pleasure. Why, you... Hold still and quiet, lady. You know I'm supposed to know. You dirty rotten thing. Your breath. You need it. Oh.
Tom.
Attaboy, hon.
Tom.
Chicken. I'm going to break a rib or two.
Tom.
Well, that do it, boss?
Yeah, okay.
Tom, darling.
Shut up, you. I want your husband to hear this. I'm going to say it only once. Now, this is an order, Benson. I want men on my lots. Get them over there. Understand? No men, and your wife gets what you got, with trimmings. In fact, get over to my place yourself, Monday, a.m. That's all. You know what's good for you. You'll do like you're told. Let's go, Hod.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Building Blocks. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Durr as Stan Dawson in Building Blocks. The Benson household was an angry and fearful place after Stan and Hod slammed the door behind them. Grace helped her husband to his bed, torn between fear for him and anger at the men who dared to terrorize decent people in this manner. Tom nursed his bruises, controlled his anger, and found himself full of fear for Grace. The following Monday, Tom made up his mind and led some of his friends to Stan Dawson's lots to begin work on the new houses. It was a day or two later, back on the job at the new school building, that Whitey stopped Tom on the scaffolding.
Just a minute, Tom.
I got to get up to the next level.
You can talk a minute.
I can't. I got to hurry.
Why? Because you wasted time on Dawson's lot the other day?
So what if I did?
Look, Tom, you're the boss in our local. The other men follow you. And you're leading in the wrong direction, Tom. Why?
None of your business. Now let me get up above.
It is my business. Like a lawyer says, you're compounding a felony. I asked my neighbor's boy about that. He looked it up in a law book he studied.
It's still my business.
Well, so long as you drag other guys in with you, it's everybody's business. I'm sore, Tom. I'm not going to stand for it.
The truckmen are?
I know about them. I don't know why they're doing it. But it still doesn't mean you can do the exact opposite from what we decided at the board meeting.
Well, maybe I know why the truckmen are doing what they're doing.
I don't care why they are doing anything.
Whitey, that shiner I was wearing, the tape on my ribs right now. You think I fell off a ladder, maybe?
Maybe you did.
And maybe I took a beating.
It wouldn't be the first time. In the old days...
In the old days, I didn't have a wife.
Look, I know Grace, Tom. If Grace knew what you're doing...
Grace doesn't know about anybody except me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Grace knew what was happening, she'd be as sore as I am. Why don't you tell her?
She's scared enough now.
Well, she'd be a little more scared, but you could talk to the guys. They'd go along with you.
They got families, too.
Nuts, Tom. I think you've gone chicken. Well, you can stock this in your craw for what it's worth. No two-bit hoodlum is going to make Whitey Walker do anything he don't want to do. Take it or leave it.
Well, Benson, nice to see you working here. Me?
Is it?
Sure. It's always nice to see a man who gets wise. Isn't it, Hart?
You bet, boss. Trouble is, not enough men got wise.
Now, look, Dawson, I'm doing the best I can. The best isn't good enough. Work's going too slow on my project. School will be finished before these houses are. Then I got to go pay labor. And that's against my principles. Especially when I can get the city to pay the men for me. Isn't that right, Hart?
You sure think of every gimmick, boss.
So I want more men over here, Benson. And I want Whitey Walker with him.
I talked to Whitey. He's stubborn.
Maybe I should talk to Whitey.
He still won't come.
And until he comes, his buddies won't come either.
Maybe this Whitey character needs a lesson.
Whitey's got no family. You won't get him like you got me. Look, Benson, I'm through kidding. I want a real crew on this job tomorrow, understand?
I'll try. I can't force them.
Okay, so you can't force them. But if Walker learns his lesson...
Oh, no, I don't know.
No, but I know. Come on, Hod. School's gonna begin. For Whitey Walker. Today.
Holy, that's Vito! Another couple of buckets of the hot stuff and we'll have the roof pretty well finished.
Hot stuff, eh, Walker?
Beat it. Non-workers ain't allowed on the scaffolding.
Ah, but we're tourists, Walker.
Beat it.
Now, ain't you going to show us the sights up here? Like that church spire over there? And the hot stuff in the barrel down below? Now, what is that stuff, anyhow?
Don't you know pitch when you see it or smell it?
Pitch. Like tar. Say, Hod, remember that character we tarred and feathered a couple of years back?
Yeah, I sure do. Boy, did he holler.
Look, I told you guys to scram. It's dangerous up here.
For us?
Yeah, for you.
How about yourself?
Oh, I've been lots higher than this.
Yeah. The higher, the longer the fall.
Save it. You don't kid me.
One question, Walker. Are you going to work on my job or aren't you?
I'm too busy earning an honest living.
You can be on it. Don't matter exactly where you work.
What would a mug like you know about what's honest? Hey, watch what you're doing.
I'm watching. You better watch how you talk to the boss.
He's not my boss. Maybe some other fellas.
Careful, Walker. Let you know when you're in the spot.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. Look at yourself, talking smart. With me in front of you. Hard behind you. Nothing the other way but empty space and a barrel of pitch. Now answer me straight. Are you going to report over on my lot tomorrow morning?
No.
All right, Hod. It'll be an accident.
Hey, cut it out.
Here you go, bud. A long way down.
Bullseye, Hod. Right in the barrel.
Friends, the first business of this meeting tonight is to discuss the funeral arrangements for Whitey. Any questions before we start?
Yes, I've got a question.
Bob Harvey.
I understand Whitey was your friend and all, but I'd like to ask why Mrs. Benson is present tonight. Our board meetings are private, aren't they?
I'm glad you brought that up, Bob. Will you let my wife tell you why? Thank you. Grace?
Gentlemen, I asked Tom if I could come tonight because, well, Whitey was our best friend. We both feel guilty about his death.
Well, an accident can happen to anybody in our work, Mrs. Benson.
Accident? To Whitey? He was as sure-footed as a cat. The scaffold was as safe for him as the sidewalk is for me.
Are you suggesting that Whitey's fall was no accident, Mrs. Benson?
I know it wasn't. Tom knows it wasn't. That was no more accident than Tom's black eye and taped ribs were an accident. And Tom got those in the front hall of our house when Stan Dawson and Hod Westby paid us a visit one night.
Tom, is that why you said it was okay for us to work over on those lots?
Well, I had to. They said they'd hurt Grace. I should have called their bluff. Whitey'd be alive today.
You should have told us. Since when can hoodlums like Dawson pull stuff like this on decent working guys? I move we turn him over to the cops.
But there's no real evidence. Only my word that Dawson threatened to teach Whitey a lesson.
But you can get the evidence.
Get it? How?
You can find a way. You'll think about it. You've got to. You know what they'll say about your union. Racketeer controlled, all that if you don't. There must be a way to get Dawson and Westby, both of them. I won't rest. Whitey won't rest until you find it.
I got your call, Benson. You want us? Yeah. You and your boy, both of you. We're here. Yep, we sure are. I want to talk private. Come over here.
What's up? You trying to shake down Benson?
Of course not. I just thought it'd be more private over here near the pitch barrel.
Well, it's awful hot here, ain't it?
You work up above, you get plenty chilly. Don't feel hot down here.
Okay. This is private enough. What's on your mind?
A little contribution. Oh, hiya, Bob. Maybe Stan and Hod here might want to contribute to Whitey's funeral. Flowers or something.
It is a shakedown.
Oh, nothing of the kind. I saw you talking to Whitey the day he fell. We thought you might want to send regrets. You must have been friends of his.
Hey, what's the crowd collecting for? I don't see no crowd. Do you, Bob?
Hey, what gives here?
No, Tom, I don't see anything. Just the guys I work with who kind of miss their buddy.
Of course, they've got their tools with them. Hammers, chisels, trowels. You know, Stan, that a trowel has a mighty sharp point?
And I sort of seem to see some bricks around, too.
What do you think you're doing now?
Oh, nothing. Just pushing you back toward the pitch barrel and the fire.
You dumb. Hey, he's got a gun.
He had a gun. Now he's got only a busted hand.
I'll take care of you, all right. Hey, quit coming. You'll get me burned. You'll get me burned.
You won't let go into the barrel, huh? Like Whitey did?
Well, what do you want? I didn't do nothing. Stan pushed him. Stan just... Why, you dare? Will you tell that to the cops, Westby, will you? Yeah, sure. I'll talk. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
Okay. Stay where you are. Feet up. Riley, Matt. Hold these mugs while we call the cops. Okay. Everybody else, back on the job. Come on, man. Three of us ought to be able to hold two of these. 3 of us, that is. And a barrel of pitch.
Crime does not pay. Richard Durr, who starred as Stan Dawson in Building Blocks, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Richard Durr.
I think the moral of this story is rather obvious. As it happens, it does not lie with Stan Dawson, although his kind are all too numerous everywhere. To me, it lies with Tom Benson and his friend. Whitey had to die before they realized the truth, that when the decent folk like you and me play along, even a little, the costs skyrocket in terms of money, graft, taxes, corruption, let alone in terms of self-respect and even of life itself. Sometimes it takes too long for the decent citizens to become aware that for themselves as well as for the criminal, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Durr. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy. Calling Washington.
United States Counterspy, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the Spectrograph.
Miss Phelps.
Yes, Mr. Blake?
When is Dr. Carthouse going to be here?
Why,
He might at least be prompt. After all, we are his financial backers.
I know, Mr. Don.
As such, we're certainly entitled to better treatment than this.
Of course, Mr. Fulton.
Considering the fact that we've advanced close to $50,000 for his sonic research so far.
Oh, I know you have, gentlemen.
Now, look, Miss Phelps, have you any idea where he is?
Well, probably at Columbus Circle, 59th Street and Broadway.
Oh, no, not again.
More speeches?
Well, Dr. Carthouse was feeling very good when he left here, and as you know, he usually makes speeches when he feels good.
Yes, flowery ones, too. Although you'd never guess it from the way he talks normally. Abrupt, to the point.
Well, I'm not going to have my dignity trifled with any longer. If the doctor doesn't show up in 5 minutes, I'm going to consider the money I've invested so far in that nincompoop lost. And you and Blake can carry on with the financing if you're mad enough to do so.
Now, Fulton, don't be...
No, I mean it, Blake. I've had enough. What?
Gladys, you should have been there. I made a great speech. A crowd of 30 people. I told them what I thought of the government. They were impressed.
Doctor, your appointment...
Oh, I see. All licking your chops, eh?
That's what I mean, Blake. Now, see here, Doctor. I'm a man of some importance in the banking world. I demand that I be treated with a measure of respect.
Respect? You get that for brains, not money. There are no brains here except mine. And Gladys.
My heaven,
Now, calm down, Fulton.
Let's at least see what the doctor has to show us.
Yes. Now, Dr. Carthouse, you promised us a demonstration of how far your sonic research had progressed.
I keep my promises. Wait till I set up the laboratory, you'll see. Give me 5 minutes.
For waiting.
It won't be long, Mr. Fulton.
Give them some reading matter, Gladys, to keep them busy. Something not too difficult. Comic books. Ha. Good. All set. Come in and see.
It's about time.
This had better be good, Carthouse.
I'm sure it will be, gentlemen.
Gladys, you come too. You've never seen this.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Carthouse.
Close the door. All right, gentlemen. Sit down.
Yes, let's see this.
Good. Now, first, a preliminary demonstration. See this table backed by thick wood planks? I take this glass tumbler and put it on the table in front of the planks. You follow me?
We have brains enough for that.
I'm surprised. Now, here, this thing which looks like a radio. It produces sound waves with tremendous frequencies. It's made of, you wouldn't understand. Just call it a sound box. Now, see this hole in front of the sound box. It sends out directional sound waves. Listen. Watch. There. See? Your ears hurt?
I can barely hear now.
Yes, but whatever, Dr. Carthouse. Shattering a glass is nothing new. A good, robust voice can do it, just holding a note long enough.
Right, Blake. I showed you that for contrast with the real demonstration, which is coming now. Gladys.
Yes, Doctor.
Brush the glass off the table.
Yes, sir.
Now, the three of you, look at this. A steel tube. Go on, take it. Pass it around.
Here then.
3/4-inch steel. Armor plate.
No question about it.
Now, Fulton, be useful. Put the steel tube where the glass was.
Like this?
Right. I didn't think you were so smart, Fulton.
I will not tolerate...
Oh, shut up, Fulton. Go on, Dr. Carthouse.
There's nothing more to say, Blake. Just listen. Watch again.
Well, what's the matter? Something go wrong, Doctor?
No, the sound waves which are sent out now are too high for your ears to hear. Just watch the steel tube.
Good heavens.
Well, that's incredible.
What did it?
Sound waves. The demonstration is finished.
Yes, but what did it? How did you attain a frequency that can shatter steel?
How soon can we put this to practical use? Why didn't it shatter those planks behind the steel tube?
The planks have a higher degree of elasticity. They can absorb the sound waves. Steel is brittle. It can't. I'm working on a frequency to shatter wood now.
This is frightening. Shattering armor plate like that.
If this is developed on an industrial scale, there'll be plenty of practical use for it.
Blake, I'm concerned with the war potential of a thing like this. Yes, Fulton's right. I think we should seek government protection for Dr. Carthouse.
Government protection?
Well, the plans and the formula for this device shouldn't be left unguarded wherever they are.
The plans and the formula are here, in my head, where nobody can steal them. I don't like interference from my backers or government. I won't stand for snooping, prying.
Now, be reasonable, Dr.
No, I won't be. My feelings are clear. Jefferson said it best. Society in its worst state is a blessing. Government in its best state is a necessary evil. I must be free to work. No interference from you or the government. Take it or leave it.
Well,
it doesn't give us much choice.
No.
Well, then, go on as it is. And good night. Come on, gentlemen. Let's find an atmosphere of sanity. Good night. Good night, Mr.
Good night.
Good night. Ruffle their fur. I'm glad. It'll teach them that the brains are important. I feel good. Like a speech.
It's late, Doctor.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to make one. It's good to be independent. Remember that, Gladys. Good night. I'm going to bed. You straighten things up.
I will, Doctor. Long distance? I'd like to place a call to Washington, D.C., the headquarters of the United States Counterspy.
Hello? Yes, this is Sergei. Oh, hello. You sound very excited. Undoubtedly, this is a request for more money, eh? What? Really? And what is this miracle Dr. Carthouse has done? Yes, I'm listening. Go on. So, armor plate. Interesting if true. But you need more money. No. None. My dear sir, my client feels he has paid enough without results. No. If what you say is true, obtain the formula and plans. How? That I leave to your imagination. Get them to me and you will receive the final agreed upon sum, $100,000. Yes. Just send them by a commercial messenger. In this business, the most ordinary means of transmission is usually the safest. I'll be expecting to hear from you. Good night, sir.
Yes, what is it, Peters?
Mr. Harding, there's a call from New York for you, a Miss Gladys Phelps, about a Dr. Semyon Carthouse.
Oh, my gosh, not him again.
What's that, Chief?
Well, never mind. Put the call on my line, then call Bowling Field and tell them to get the jet plane ready for a trip. Then come in here yourself. Hello?
Hello?
Miss Phelps?
Yes. Is this Mr. Harding?
Yes, it is. You're calling about Dr. Semyon Carthouse?
Yes, Mr. Harding. I work with him.
Yes, go on, Miss Phelps.
Well, Dr. Carthouse has just concluded a rather terrifying demonstration in the field of sonic power. I think he should be protected for his own sake.
Oh, does he know you're calling me?
Oh, no, sir.
I thought not.
The doctor's a bit eccentric.
Yes, that's a mild word, Miss Phelps. You don't have to explain. I've had dealings with him before.
Well, then you understand he must know nothing of this. I thought perhaps that you could send an agent.
Hold it, Peter. Well, Miss Phelps.
Yes.
I'll come up to see you myself. I should be in New York in about 2 hours and a half.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Harding. Where shall I meet you?
Where are you now?
At the doctor's home, 1232 West 82nd Street.
All right. You be at the corner of 82nd Street and Columbus Avenue in exactly 3 hours. I'll pick you up in a car, and you can tell me all about it while we drive around.
I'll be there, Mr. Harding.
Fine. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Chief, what's this all about? A woman calls from New York, mentions a Dr. Carthouse, and right away we're flying up there.
Peters, I don't know what it's about, but the fact that it concerns Dr. Carthouse is enough for me. Where he's involved, I'd fly from here to Moscow via the Antarctic if I had to.
Who the dickens is he?
The most brilliant and aggravating man I've ever dealt with. I'll tell you all about him on our flight up. Come on, let's get started.
You mean that Dr. Carthouse made all these contributions toward the improvement of radar, and I've never heard of him?
Well, that's not surprising, Peters. You were in Europe in 1942 and 43, the period the Counterspies dealt with him.
Well, I should at least know the name.
Oh, no. Dr. Carthouse is, shall we say, peculiar. He loathes publicity and despises government.
Our government?
Oh, he's broad-minded. Any government. He never officially worked for us.
But the results of his research, Chief, how did we get them?
Well, he brought them into us, but he never worked for us. We had to guard him without letting him know that he was being guarded and finance him through apparently private sources.
It must have been one headache to you. But tell me, why weren't his services just drafted for the government?
That's easier said than done. He refused point blank to work. Of course, we could have had him arrested, even shot, but that wouldn't have given us the benefit of his brain.
That's true, Dave. You can't force a man to think.
Particularly not Dr. Carthouse. He literally doesn't give a hoot for anything or anybody. He's not at all reticent about announcing that fact.
Unpleasant character.
Oh, no, to the contrary. Very pleasant. And very difficult to guard. Our biggest job was protecting him from being mobbed.
Mobbed?
Yes. You see, he has a hobby, not stamps or model planes or anything normal. He likes to make speeches.
What?
Yeah, one day he's in Union Square denouncing communism, and the next day he's at the Chamber of Commerce meeting denouncing capitalism.
Some character.
Dr. Carthouse is just against. Doesn't make any difference what. He's against it.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting him.
Well, don't, Peter, because you won't. I haven't the faintest idea what he's doing. But if he learns we're interested in it, protecting him, interfering, as he calls it, he'll stop dead. I know, because that's just what he did when he found out our agents were guarding him during the war. That's why I haven't kept an agent on him regularly. The New York office keeps a once-a-month check on him. That's all.
But just what is it that he'll stop doing, Chief? You don't even know yet.
Well, I know if Dr. Semyon Carthouse is doing it, it's important. That's enough for me. Exactly what it is, we'll learn in New York when we meet Miss Gladys Phelps.
It's true, Mr. Harding. I saw it myself.
He shattered a piece of armor plate?
That's right, sir. 3/4 inches thick.
Chief, a thing like that...
Yes, I'm way ahead of you, Peters. Now, listen, Miss Phelps, did you tell anyone else you were calling us?
No, sir.
Chief, what are we waiting for? Why don't we just pick up this doctor and turn him over to the Department of Defense?
Peters, I know the man we're dealing with. He'll come to the government, all right, but when he's ready to and feels he's finished his research. And not a second before.
You will give him protection, though, won't you, Mr. Harding?
That I guarantee, starting right now.
We're back at 82nd Street, Chief.
All right, Miss Phelps. Now, you better get back to the doctor's house. We've been driving around for more than an hour.
All right, Mr. Harding.
And don't worry. We'll have a guard over him every minute from now on.
Well, I've got a feeling I don't get any sleep tonight, Chief.
You don't, Peters. Stick here and keep your eye on that house she's going into until I send an agent to relieve you.
Okay.
Now, one thing you've got to make sure of, Peters, that Dr. Carthouse doesn't become suspicious of you.
I haven't lost a trail yet, Chief.
Well, if Carthouse finds out about you, we lose more than a trail. We lose the use of his brain, and that we can't pick up.
I'll be... Hey, the girl's coming back.
What?
Mr. Harding, the laboratory. Dr. Carthouse, he's been murdered.
You are
are listening to the Case of the Spectrograph on Counterspy. Tonight, The Big Show brings you the best in comedy, music, and drama with Tallulah Bankhead, Fred Allen, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Margaret Truman, Mindy Carson, Meredith Wilson, and many, many more. It's The Big Show, top Sunday listening design for the entire family. And speaking of families, tonight means another delightful adventure for the Madcap Harris family and all their friends on the Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show. That's tonight over most of these NBC stations. Now, back to Counterspy.
Well, Peters?
He's dead, all right. One shot in the temple.
Dr. Carthouse.
Now, please control yourself, Miss Phelps. We've got to find out who killed him, and you've got to help us.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Harding, I know.
The cinch that was one of the three financial backers Miss Phelps told us about, since they were the only ones who knew of the doctor's experiment.
Yes, looks like it. Well, Peters, you take a look around the laboratory while I ask Miss Phelps some questions about this equipment here.
All right.
Miss Phelps, is this the device Dr. Carthouse used in his experiment, the thing he called a sound box?
Yes, sir.
Know how to work it?
No, sir. No one but Dr. Carthouse did.
I see. Well, this machine over here with the endless roll of paper in it and the pencil marks on the paper, what's this?
Well, that's a spectrograph, Mr. Harding. It draws a picture of sound waves. Dr. Carthouse used it to make the sound patterns of his research visual.
Oh, yes, I've heard of the spectrograph.
That's funny.
What is, Miss Phelps?
That roll of paper in the spectrograph. I swear it was clean when I left here, but now it's all marked out.
Oh, wait, now hold it, Peters. You mean someone's used this spectrograph?
So it would seem.
Exactly how does this work? I'm a little vague on the details.
Well, that microphone on the desk is connected to the spectrograph.
Mm-hmm.
When you speak into it or make a noise in front of the microphone, that pencil apparatus on the spectrograph makes a line on the paper corresponding in length to the volume of the noise.
Oh, I understand.
Chief, that fits in with what I found.
What, Peters?
Look, these marks on the desk. 4 of them. Like rubber grippers on the bottom of a portable typewriter.
Uh-huh.
Then this indentation in the desk blotter. Circular, big, could be a microphone stand. And here, a piece of recording tape.
What?
Was on the floor by the desk.
A tape recorder, huh? And that spectrograph in use.
What does it mean, Mr. Harding?
Well, the recorder's pretty obvious. Whoever killed Dr. Carthouse wanted his knowledge first. He knew the doctor kept nothing in writing, so he made him speak his piece and then shot him.
I go along with that, Mr. Harding.
Then we can assume that he talked into the microphone attached to the murderer's recorder and at the same time switched on his own microphone attached to that spectrograph.
Chief, you mean the whole story is in those undecipherable pencil lines on that roll of paper?
Well, I mean it's worth the trouble to find out what is on that roll of spectrograph paper, something we're going to do right now.
Hello?
Is this Commander Tackett of the Naval Radar Section?
And? Who is this?
David Harding, United States Counterspies.
Counterspy?
Yes, I'm sorry to bother you at 2:30 in the morning, Commander Tackett.
Oh, shoot, Mr. Harding.
Well, now, in your radar and sonic research, you use an instrument known as the spectrograph, don't you?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Well, now, is there any method of reading the marks that are made by sound waves on the spectrograph tape?
Oh, well, there are experts, yes, who can do it.
Well, where can I find such a man?
Well, if you give me a couple of days...
Oh, no, that's too long. Commander, isn't there any other way we could find out what a spectrograph tape says?
Well, I might be able to make it talk.
How?
We have the apparatus in our naval laboratory here in New York. If I had an enlarged photograph of the spectrograph tape...
You'll have it, Commander Tackett. If you'll go right down to the naval laboratory, I'll meet you there in 30 minutes.
Hello, Commander Tackett. The officer of the day told me you were here. I'm David Harding.
Hello, Mr. Harding. I must say you Counterspy certainly do things in a hurry.
Well, this is extremely urgent.
Oh, fine. Do you have the enlargement of the spectrograph?
Well, my assistant, Mr. Peters, is standing by in our Counterspy photo laboratory, and he'll rush right over with it just as soon as it's ready.
Good. Well, then I can take this time to show you how I
may be able to make it talk.
Yes, that's what I came for.
Well, we use this device here, Mr. Harding, a big electrically lighted transparent drum. It's a sort of talking drum.
Talking drum?
Yes, Mr. Harding. You see that bank of electric cells outside the drum, photoelectric cells?
Yes.
Well, when we place strips of black paper or tape on the drum and revolve it, the photoelectric beam is broken, and a series of vibrations are transmitted to a speaker for as long a time as the beam set up by the photoelectric cells is broken.
Oh, I see. Then, theoretically, you can make paper talk without the human voice even being involved in the process.
Well, that's just exactly what we've done, Mr. Harding. Look, I'll show you this test pattern we keep handy.
Yes, please do.
Well, first, I'll start the motor that turns the lighted drum. There we are. I see the drum revolves, but nothing happens because it's completely transparent. Now, here's the spectrogram reading, which we use for laboratory tests.
That's a hand-drawn picture of some spoken phrase, is that right?
Right, Mr. Harding. And I'm sure you're familiar with the phrase of the saying. Now, here on this desk, this black tape cut up in odd shapes, it's an enlargement of this spectrogram already prepared in sections for mounting on the drum.
I see. Go on.
Well, I'll take this first section and mount it on the drum. So. Now, when I start the drum, listen to what happens when the part with the black tape on it passes over the photoelectric cells.
Mary had a, Mary had a, Mary had a.
That's remarkable.
Wait. I'll mount the rest of this prepared laboratory tape on the drum, and there we are. Now, listen.
Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow.
Why, that's astounding, Commander. Do you think that by cutting up the enlarged spectrogram my assistant brings, we'll be able to hear exactly what was said on it?
Well, I'm sure we will. Of course, the voices won't be recognized.
Well, that's not too important if we can only get them...
Be honest, Harding. The enlarged spectrogram.
Good.
We had to enlarge it in sections. The roll of paper was so long.
What about this, Commander Taggart? Think you can work from this? Oh, my assistant, Mr. Peters.
Oh. Yes, I think so. It'll take time, though. See, I'll have to cut it up, and we can only get about 50 or 60 words on the drum at one time.
Well, let's start at the beginning and get going. I want to know what those black lines say just as soon as possible.
There we are, Mr. Harding. The first section's all set up and ready to go.
All right, turn it on. Let's hear what it says.
And pray that the voice of the murderer is on it. All right, here goes.
A gun. That's right, Doctor. You're going to kill me, eh?
That prayer's answered.
Yes, unless you tell your data to this microphone I set up. If I do, you'll kill me anyway. So, right, but your knowledge will die with you, and you wouldn't like that. I have no choice. None.
Why the dickens doesn't he say the man's name?
Wait. All right. I'll tell all. Move the mic closer, Blake.
Blake. I'll have to cut out more of the spectrogram.
Would you do that yourself, Commander, and have a confidential stenographer transcribe what the talking drum says? The rest, I'm sure, will be Dr. Carthouse telling the results of his sonic research.
All right, Mr. Harding. Chief Blake has a tape recording of that.
I know, and we better move fast if we want to stop it from getting out of the country. Come on, Peters, let's go.
Sergey, this is Blake.
I told you, Blake, no more money without results.
I've gotten results.
What?
Yes, they're on their way over to you by messenger now.
So?
You'll send the money right away? 100,000?
When I'm satisfied, the results are worth it.
Well, then satisfy yourself fast, because I need the money in a hurry. I'll be waiting to hear from you. Goodbye. Hello?
Congratulations, Blake.
Sergei, I was just going to call you.
It took me some time to get a tape recorder to play the tape which you sent me.
Well, do I get the money?
It's on its way over to you by messenger now. Half the sum.
Half?
You will get the rest when the scientist of my client have confirmed the value of what you sent.
Now, look, Sergei.
After all, I am not technically qualified to judge what I heard on that tape. So be satisfied with half for the present.
Our understanding was... Hold on, Sergei. There's someone at the door.
Most likely the messenger with your money. I'll take it and be happy. I'll be in touch with you in the future. Goodbye.
Now, Sergei. Just a minute.
Package for Mr. Blake.
Yes, that's me.
Sign here.
All right. There, and here's $1 for your trouble.
Just one out of the 50,000, Mr. Blake?
What?
You're not a very generous tipper.
What the devil is this? Who are you two?
United States Counterspies.
It isn't every man we run errands for, Mr. Blake. You should feel honored.
I don't understand. What's this all about?
The tape recording for Mr. Sergei Yekoro. We delivered it.
You delivered it?
After switching the one you sent for the one we made especially for the purpose.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's no use, Blake. We've known about you since early this morning.
The only reason we didn't pick you up sooner is that we wanted to see to whom you disposed of that recording that you forced Dr. Carthouse to dictate before you killed him.
Killed him?
That's right, Blake.
You see, Mr. Yekoro's government will waste a lot of time trying to make something out of the recording we substituted, a fact which won't make us unhappy. So, Blake...
Now, listen. I'll make a deal with you. I didn't kill Dr. Carthouse, but I'll tell you everything. All about Sergei. He's the one that did the killing.
Really?
Yes, I swear it. Now can we make a deal?
No, Blake. For two reasons. In the first place, we don't want to arrest Yekoro. Keeping a known foreign agent under observation will give us a lot more leads than we could get out of him in prison. And in the second place, Dr. Carthouse practically named you his murderer in a spectrogram recording he made.
So get your hat and coat and come along, Blake.
Well, doesn't seem to be anything else for me. You look out, Peters. He's got a gun. Go here. That was close, Chief.
Yes. Better call the ambulance, Peters. They can take care of Blake's last errand and see that he's delivered to his final resting place. Prison.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Smuggled Schedule.
Next week, we shall reveal for the first time why a certain small package was given one of the biggest guards in Counterspy memory, and how your counterspies went underground so that the wrong car would lead in the right direction. Listen to
The Case of the Smuggled Schedule on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Palmer Thompson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Tonight, The Big Show, radio's greatest spectacle, presents another broadcast in its NBC Sunday night series. Your hour and a half of comedy, music, and drama tonight includes Tallulah Bankhead, Fred Allen, Danny Thomas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Mindy Carson, and many, many more. Theater Guild on the air tonight brings you the radio premiere of the hit musical Carousel, starring Patrice Munsell and Cornel Wilde. Hear Margaret Truman and Doug Fairbanks Jr. on The Big Show today on NBC.